Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
Only one episode this week. Very sorry to report that. Yeah, only one episode this week. It's the Christmas special. It's the MLB Re-Draft 2019. It is Jay Hayes' own special holiday where he will be unceremoniously taking away Mo Vaughn's 1995 MVP award, which is just unbecoming of him. He's just an angry person. He's the hater of the year, back to back to back. So the 1995 MVP Hindsight. But obviously, before we get into any of today's news, awful news. Over the weekend, learning that Rickey Henderson had passed away. I almost feel stupid to even go into any type of like reflection of what he meant to me as a baseball fan, because I know Dallas knew him as a man, as a player, as just everything. So Dallas, if there's anything that you'd like to say, I feel like you're the person that should lead this one.
No, and you know what, man? Like, honestly, Jared, I appreciate that, but I want to hear from you first. And it's because of what you said. I had the, I thought about this morning, dude. Like, I feel like I get to call the fucking Easter Bunny and Santa Claus friends, you know, when I have relationships with guys like Rickey Henderson, or when I'm walking on the field in Houston and the guy that comes up behind me and grabs me is Mr. October, Reggie Jackson, and he's jostling me around, and then we're having fun, and then 40 minutes later, I'm still talking to Reggie on the field, and then I have people come up to me and are like, man, how do you, and I don't have an answer. I don't know. I have no idea why I get to talk to these guys like that. And Rickey was that dude. But one of the coolest things, dear, that I will remember is watching you turn into an absolute child again when you saw Rickey in Arizona. And I just, and Rickey, you got the vibe right away. I was like, hey, Rick, got somebody I want to introduce you to. Well, he's, oh yeah, man. Yeah, man. And you know, you're just telling him, look, I got your jersey for Christmas, and you're a legend. And he's just, he's one of those dudes where when you get to know him, like, you almost can't believe that this, like, he's one of the handful of people in my life that when you talk about not wanting to meet your heroes because you want it to be how it is in your mind. Well, Rickey is one of those people where if he was your hero, I will pray every day that you got to meet him, because it would debunk every thought you've ever had about meeting your hero, because of the time he would take, because of the connection he would create. I mean, this is a dude who, unbeknownst to a lot of fans around, would call and check in on people that, let's be honest, he might not even know your fucking name, but he knows your face. He knows who you are. He knows where you fit in. And that's one thing that I always kind of laugh and joke about is Rickey knew my name. Rickey knew my name. And that makes me feel a very different way than anybody else knowing my name would make me feel. But I said this, like, you had his poster. If you grew up in the Bay Area in the 80s and 90s, you had the poster, you had the batting gloves, you wiggled your fingers when you let off. You did everything. You were Rickey. You were Rickey. There were two people in the Bay Area after Barry showed up that you had that could do it all. That could do it all. Do everything that the game asked you to do. And it was Rickey first. And to bear witness to that, like, I know we're getting a lot of exciting athletes coming into our game today, and we're talking about stolen bases, and we understand the rules implications, but we're talking about seasons where guys are swiping 70 plus, and oh, that's incredible. That's great. And you've heard the story that Harold Reynolds has shared with, you know, you steal 60 to take the record for the season. And Rickey called him and told him, Buddy, Rickey would have had 60 at the break. That's cute.
Yeah, click.
Could you imagine watching?
You should be ashamed.
could you imagine watching 7, 8, I think it was 8, might have been 7 or 8 years in a row where this dude was the leader in the clubhouse, stolen bases, and there wasn't a close second. Like, you get the next 4 guys and put their numbers together. Good luck. Like, that's who this dude was. And I said it. If you walked into the Coliseum and you didn't get right to your seat with the fucking arms they were running out there on the mound, there was a solid chance it was 3 up, 3 down. And then by the time you got to your seat, the score was 1-0. Because Rickey either hit the first pitch over the fucking wall, or he walked, stole second and third, and was safe at home without a ball ever being put in play. That's the kind of shit that you could get every single day from Rickey. Every single day. 0 for 5. 5 bags, 5 runs, or what is it? 0 for 5, 4 runs, 4 bags. Like, just stupid stuff. Stupid stuff. But the humanitarian side of him, I think, is something that gets overshadowed by his personality and by the way that baseball, and I said this, he was ours. In Oakland, he's ours. That's our Rickey. But he's really baseball's Rickey because of the time he spent in the game and the messages and the impact he's had on players all across generations and all across the game, pitchers, catchers, position players alike. I tell you, one of the greatest moments of my life, not baseball career, my life, one of the greatest moments of my life is Rickey Henderson talking shit to me about my pickoff move and then taking me over to the backfield because he respected my pickoff move. That's why he was talking shit to me, and he wanted to see it, and he wanted to give me some information because he knew that I cared about the running game. Well, he knew that, buddy, nobody knows more about this than me, and if you care this much, man, I got some shit I want to share with you. I got some things I want to say to you. And we talked about, and he was a huge part of the reason why I completely shut down my leg lift pickoff over to first base because of the bit of information that he gave me compared to what I was doing with my snap move. And I was like, fuck, done deal. Like, based on what you're telling me right now, I will never intentionally lift my leg to pick off over at first base ever again. And I would have never, ever had that if I don't have that conversation with Rickey. And, I was telling you, like, me and a security guard and Rick, we were supposed to go fishing. You just, you try to take time to reflect, man, on who the player is. And I have a tough time trying not to pedestalize the man because it's the man that means so much to me, that I know means so much. Like, my heart breaks for Stu right now. Dave Stewart, it just breaks. And for Shooty Babbitt and Biff Roberts. And I know Reggie is hurting right now. Like, it just, so many guys in the Hall of Fame. Dave Winfield right away was like, and I it was not my place, and it's none of our place outside of the family to address anything or make any sort of, but I think what you see is just the ripple effect across, like I said, generations. So I just hope, I hope in the coming days and weeks, and maybe in this next year, that folks, if you're a fan of baseball and you appreciate the athleticism that you're seeing on the field, just spend 10 minutes. Just spend 10 minutes. And I promise you're going to really appreciate what Rickey did as a player. And you're going to see a lot of what these young athletes are doing. You're going to see a lot of that in Rickey. Rickey was one of one. Rickey was the superfractor.
I still can't believe it. I mean, you, the night before, like, you had just sent a text saying, like, I'm not going to be available for a little while. And none of us knew what that meant. And then the next morning, I woke up and saw, like, a couple tweets. And I was like, no. I was like, this has to be a hoax. Like, this is, like, I don't know where this started. I don't appreciate it. But, like, no. Like, that's not a thing. And I feel like, having seen what you said, I was like, that's probably what that is, but I'm too afraid to even ask because I don't want to know. Like, I don't want that to be true. So I had went to Target. I had to go get some, like, gift bags and things like that. Parked my car, was walking up to the door, And then I get the alert from because I had seen like some of the guys that you're talking about, like Hall of Famers, like posting about it. And even then, like my brain was just like, nope, like not until I see something from MLB or the A's or something like that. Like, nope. Like there were plenty of people that were like had the information that was just like, nah, I'm not. No. And then I got like the alert from MLB Trade Rumors, and I just like stopped 40 feet in front of the door, turned back around, got in my car, watched like a half-hour video of Rickey's career highlights, had to like compose myself, then go back in. And I was just like, I can't. And then there's a Starbucks there. I walked in, got in line, and this kid, I haven't seen him in like 10 years. And he was all excited. He was like, "What's up, man? Like, good to see you." And I was like, I can't. I was like, good to see. I was like, Rickey's gone, man. I was like, I got nothing. I can't say anything. Yeah. And it's, I don't know. I feel like it's just, I don't even feel comfortable talking about it because I met him that one time. Like I'm sitting with someone that knew him and had the privilege of being around him all the time. Like I just feel weird or stupid, like even talking about like my own personal experience about it. But
that's why he was who he was, Jared, is because he makes people feel that way, man. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't think I ever explained to you the connection about the jersey. So when I was little, my mom for Christmas, she got me it was a money clip. It was a metal money clip, and it was like a 3-piece, like folded in like this. And when you unfolded it, it had all the years. It had every team that had ever won the World Series in the year that they won it. So when I was little, I looked at the year I was born, which is 1989. And I was like, oh, the Oakland A's won the World Series that year. And then I started reading up about, the Oakland A's. And that's when I found Rickey as a kid. And I was like, this guy's fucking awesome. I was like, like looking, like the first time having the internet, like I used to have to like sit on my dad's lap so that like I wasn't allowed to use the internet on my own, but I would look at wrestling videos and baseball statistics. And then I would pull up the like the stolen base. Like once I learned like, oh, Rickey's the stolen base guy, then you look at it and you're like, wait, the next guy had how many? He's like it was almost like there has to be a misprint here. Like the internet is too new and we don't have all the information yet from the paper books that they didn't put it online yet. So then, yeah, that Christmas, I mean, at this point, it was probably like 15 years ago. I had asked for a 1989 World Series Rickey Henderson jersey. And like, if you see the picture of me putting it on, like I'm popping the collar like Rickey in the picture. So like when I got to meet him, I mean, I've gotten to meet pretty much all of my heroes at this point. I feel like and so Cal Ripken Jr. was my favorite baseball player growing up. I only collected Cal Ripken Jr. cards. Got to meet him twice, interviewed him, and even that did not have the holy shit like after effect of meeting Rickey. Like you can see it in the video where I wear my sunglasses even if it's dark out because I get uncomfortable in social situations. But I saw Rickey and I took my glasses. I was like, I'm not showing this man an ounce of disrespect. I was like, glasses are coming off, shaking your hand. I'm taking the first chance I get to call you a legend to your face. Yeah. So, I mean, like I'll always have that video, always have that memory. But man, I've met Dave. Like I grew up a diehard Boston Red Sox fan. I've met David Ortiz, and even that didn't have like the holy shit, I can't believe I'm shaking this person's hand feeling to it as meeting Rickey Henderson. So yeah, again, thank you, Dallas, for making that happen, because there was a 0.000% chance I would have approached him on my own. Zero.
No, but you know what? That's why I am so glad and so appreciative of those guys. And when I talk about those guys, I mean all of our retired players, all of our retired legends from the Oakland A's. I mean, I'm very comfortable saying it, that I don't know that there's a group of legends in a team that cares about each other the way those dudes do, but is also so open and so welcoming and endearing to the players that have come after them. You know, I watch when Huddy and Mulder, and even when Z, when he was back, interact with those older guys, the way those older guys interact with them. And they treat us like we were in the clubhouse with them. And so for them to be that way, it sort of gives a guy like me the, I don't want to say freedom, but it gives me the hope that I might be able to get them to treat somebody like you, just like they treat me. And they do, and they will. And I think that's what's so special about those guys. And that's why I love being a part of that brotherhood, is because, you know, like Steiny and Karnak and Eck, like these guys, I mean, they're a mess right now because of what Rickey meant to them and meant to the group. You know, we just another. I was going to be playing in that softball game, Reggie's softball game, the last game at the Coliseum, and my fucking connection flight got fucked, and I couldn't get to the Coliseum. My flight to Oakland got delayed. I was flying from New Orleans and landing in LA. My wife was going to go home and I was going to Oakland, but our flight got delayed. So my connection got missed. So I couldn't get to Oakland. So I missed what would have been my last time with Rickey at that softball game. And we were setting up our fishing trip for just after. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jay, hey, do you have any Rickey nugs? Anything you want to give the man his statistical flowers?
Yeah, tough to follow that. I certainly think you guys did, and Dallas did Rickey the man justice. So I don't feel badly coming in, because I don't think he wants to be. I always feel kind of weird when a person dies. Don't want to reduce people to their stats, but I also recognize that it's a huge part of baseball and why these players are beloved, and that's obviously just a small part of Rickey. But I do feel like subjectively, the Rickey, the personality, and Rickey, the off the field, and even in some ways the stolen bases, work to blur or obscure like how great Rickey Henderson was just as a baseball player in his career. And like he's not a side. Nobody's saying this here, but he's not like a carnival act who stole a lot of bases. He's like one of the greatest baseball players that anybody who's talking into a mic still has ever seen in their lives. And it's like, oh, okay, well, look at how many seasons he played. Like, he played till he was 44. Like, okay, fine. You want to first of all, that's obviously you have to be good. But Rickey Henderson also had one of the greatest sustained peak runs that any baseball player has ever had. I went ahead and I looked at players with their wins above replacement through age 34. So basically the end of when Rickey Henderson was like a star level, all-star caliber player, 34. Everything else after that was kind of gravy, 34. That is the 7th highest total for any batter since integration. Mays, Aaron, A-Rod, Bonds, Mantle, Pujols. That's it. Okay. So it's not just that he's, whatever it is, 500 stolen bases ahead of Lou Brock for the all-time record. It's that, that's not, that is the number. It's that he did so many things well and did it for such a sustained period of time that to me, he is, in terms of, players that the group of us have watched, or at least some segment of us have watched. I mean, I think he's one of the 5 greatest players that we have ever seen in terms of batters. And I think that's conservative, and he's the greatest. I mean, Dallas can step in if I'm talking out of my ass, but he's the greatest player in franchise history. And in a lot of ways, I don't think it's particularly close, given that he's been a presence in a way that, the people who would be viable candidates against him. They haven't been living for 60 years. You know what I mean? So, and played for different franchises for the most part. So, or different versions of it. So yeah, Rickey is, literally one of the greatest players of all time.
I'm trying to look now because he does have a career WAR over 100.
Yep.
Let's see, where is he? 19th all time.
I mean, Jared, you're looking at the list. The only players who are not in black and white who are ahead of him are Bonds, Mays, Aaron, Musial, Ted
Clemens.
Williams, A-Rod, and Clemens if you include pitchers. That's it, man. That's like, and obviously there are complicating factors with a lot of people that we just mentioned ahead of him. So we are truly talking about the passing of one of the greatest players of all time. And unfortunately, for some of these other guys, in the case, not to diminish anyone's death in any way, but like in the case of Aaron, Willie Mays, he lived to be a very, very old man. Like Rickey Henderson is unfortunately dead at 65 years old. I thought I saw. So it's like that also feels more jarring in a way that, somebody who is young enough to have been, as Dallas said, the Bay Area phenomenon that he grew up with. I was old enough to appreciate the stardom at the back end. He was the first poster that I ever had on my wall as far as a baseball player. And I grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia. We're talking about impact and national awareness for a baseball player. But to be, young enough to have touched all of us that way and to have still passed is extremely tragic.
Yeah, Joe, you got anything?
No, it's pretty crazy to look at the stats though. I mean, just he was 39 and he stole 66 bases when he was 39, which is so funny. Imagine that, 39 years old. And then at 42, he stole 42 I'm sorry. 25 bases. Okay, I read it wrong. I thought it was
He stole
40.
31. No, he stole 36 in his age 41 season.
Yeah. So 41, he stole 36 bases. That's like, imagine that's Miguel Cabrera the last year he retired. Albert Pujols, the same age as these fuckers. And he's stealing 66 and 40 bases in a season.
I mean, can you imagine what a 130 stolen base season would look and feel like?
That's
watching
that's
it,
why,
consuming it.
Dude, Jay, that's why I say like that right there is almost, I don't know what would be more entertaining. I know what I think would be more entertaining, which is the stolen bases, but a season's worth of a guy hitting 400 and a guy stealing 130 bases. Like, because every time he gets on first, you're like, well, that's second. And every time he safely slides into second, you're going, well, third's next. And now every time a guy walks up to the plate, you're going, well, it's going to be he's 2 for 4 every day. Like, this is just going to happen. It's just incredible to think that tool, and that's what I take away from it, is when you talk about power being a tool of sustainability or just bat to ball skill being something that you can sustain that can keep you in the game. We have a guy like Terrence Gore who has made his impact in the game of baseball due to his speed. But to have your speed be the viable tool that it was outside of the other extremely viable tools and have that shine the way it did until the very end. Just remarkable. And I'm telling you right now, like the speed is probably less than half of the reason why he's stealing 30 plus bags at age 40 or older. And it has everything to do with technique and know-how and what he's looking for.
A couple of years ago when Acuna stole 73 bases and he got his 70th, we were like, holy shit. And from Rickey's age 21 through his age 30 seasons, he averaged 84 stolen bases.
Yeah, it's cute.
I love piling on like this. Rickey Henderson stole more bags from age 36 on than Trey Turner has in his entire career.
Jeez.
Fucking crazy. Right. He's like 130 steals in 1 year. It's like there's guys who like start like actual like good players who don't even get on base. 130 times.
No, and he's stealing 130 bags.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
Oh man, we'll miss Rickey. That was again, like back in like the starting 9 days, one of my favorite questions to ask a guest is like, what's your favorite Rickey story? Because everyone's got one. Like if you've been around the game for any amount of time, we would have guests all the time back in the day. If we knew that there was a connection, you weren't getting out of the interview without telling us a Rickey story. Like that was kind of just a rite of passage for interviews.
Joe, I feel like, I'm sure you've probably already got something cooking for Rickey, but if you don't already, I think that would be something that folks would really enjoy. And I don't want to say I can help you compile it because you're outstanding at that shit, but there's a long list of Rickey stories that people have heard, second, third, fourth, fifth hand, and a quick compilation and run through of all of those stories, I think would be great. I don't know if that's TikTokable. But my favorite is Rickey talking about when he first moved into New York in his apartment. He's like, yeah, got the entire state building right there. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it's the entire state building. You can see the entire state from that building right there. And it was later cleared up what Rickey really meant, but stuff like that. It's fucking gold, man. He is gold. And I can tell you right now, he was gold in the clubhouse until the very last day.
Rest in peace, Rickey Henderson. I would love to see a video like that. Cause I mean, we've all heard Rickey stories. There's got to be a bunch out there. And then there's got to be some where you could probably find players that want to sit down and retell those stories as fresh stories. Maybe, Joe can get cooking on that. We might, be able to do something.
Hell yeah, bro. I mean, I thought about it for years because he's like kind of the perfect player because of his personality off the field. And it's kind of funny because like as a person who was never really alive during Rickey Henderson at all when he played, like especially in his prime, not really knowing, like, I don't know, like I mean, looking back on it and his stats like kind of surprised me that he was that good because you always think of him because his off the field personality was so big. You kind of assume like this is why he's a legend. It's because he's this big personality. And then you go back and actually look, oh shit, he actually was like one of the best players ever.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the thing is like the off the field. It wasn't necessarily like off the field. It was just his personality and how, like, put it like this. When he signed his big deal, the A's had to call him at the end of the year. Like, hey, just doing some accounting here. And we're not able to track $1 million. You got a check that you haven't deposited yet, Rick, for $1 million? He's like, well, yeah, I got it. Well, where's it at? Well, it's on my wall. I made $1 million. I got a check for $1 million. I put it in a picture frame and I put it on my wall so I can be a millionaire. And they're like, Rick, that's not how that works. You got to deposit it or you cash it, one of the two, but you got to give it to them and then get the money and then you're a millionaire. And he was like, all right, well, shit, I can do that if that's what you need me to do. Yeah. So he did cash the check, but that, like shit like that, like that's hilarious. The dude made $1 million. Was like, fuck yeah, I know right what to do with this. That's great, right there. That's right, baby. Millionaire. What's up? Oh man, just a fucking beautiful human being.
Yeah, I mean, like to Joe's point about like not realizing like the stats were as good as they were. When we think of like the speedsters, obviously the game has gotten back to that now with like the bigger bases and all that. Like we've got guys like Ohtani 50-50, we got Ronnie 70-40, but traditionally, like if you're swiping 40 plus 50 bags, you're maybe a singles hitter. You're like, you don't have a ton of power, but you get a lot of speed. But I mean, Rickey his MVP season, he had an OPS over 1,000. Like how many guys today, like even with juice balls and whatever else, is like how many guys have OPSs over 1,000? Like that's even
at the top of the lineup.
Yeah,
at the top of the lineup.
I mean, let me see here.
Well, that was 90, right?
I think so, yeah. He was 31 whenever he did it. Yeah, 90.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, his
1016
career OPS plus is basically the same as Sammy Sosa's.
What?
Yep.
Ain't nobody got Sammy stealing north of 1,400 bags, tell you that.
Nah.
Just in terms of perception of player. Johnny Bench.
Anything else on Rickey?
No.
All right. Rest in peace to a legend. I can assure you this will not be the last time his name is mentioned on this podcast, and this is not the last time that we'll talk about him and sing his praises, because he's obviously a favorite around here. It's the greatest time of the year. Again, football is back, and it's here to stay until February. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog. Win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats like touchdowns, passing yards, and more. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward. Signing up is even easier. Just head on over to Underdog's simple to use mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code Jared. That's Jared. And Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Busy morning, busy last 12 hours, passing, just tweeting news at 3-5 o'clock in the morning. I woke up and like, what the hell happened? Didn't realize. And then this morning, the Sox get Walker Buehler. Sean Manaea is going back to the Mets. A couple days ago, we had Jesus Luzardo being traded to the Phillies. Paul Goldschmidt going to the Yankees. So yeah, we'll break it all down. And I've got to make a phone call during the Paul Goldschmidt segment. There's someone I'd like to talk to during that conversation. But this morning, Jake, the Boston Red Sox have signed Walker Buehler basically it's like they gave him the qualifying offer and he accepted it. That's pretty much what we're looking at here. Would I have loved to have had an option for a second year? Yes. But at the same time, love the idea of him just being healthy for 1 year, balling out and reaping the benefits of whatever that looks like. I'm going to look at this from two sides. We'll obviously have the conversation on section 10. I don't want to steal Coley's take, but I do agree with a take that he had, at least in the scoop shop, which was, do I like the Walker Buehler signing? Yes. Would I have rather have taken the money that we gave Walker Buehler and Patrick Sandoval and combined it to give to Corbin Burns? Also, yes. That makes sense to me. Would I rather have one Corbin Burns or two of Walker Buehler and Patrick Sandoval? I'm taking the one Corbin Burns. So that part, okay. But that's revisionist history. It's not happening, so we can move on and look at what they have done. And that is sign Sandoval to a 2-year deal at, I think it's like $18 million. And he'll be back for the second half. Like, this is the dude that, when healthy, can be a stud. Fine. That's a roll in the dice type deal. Walker Buehler, when healthy, can be a stud. You're also kind of rolling the dice there, but you're inserting pieces where, is Walker Buehler coming in here to be the opening day starter? Is he the ace? No, you got your ace. It's Garrett Crochet. You made the trade, so now everyone slides down a peg. You've got Tanner Houck, an all-star last year. You've got Brian Bayo, who they've already given an extension to, and they believe in the guy. Great changeup. Maybe between the ears still needs some work, but the potential certainly there. Everyone forgets the Red Sox signed Lucas Giolito because he didn't throw a pitch last year after an injury in spring training. So he now slots down, and then you add Walker Buehler. Like, if, I'm not saying Buehler is a number 5 starter, but it's somewhere in that territory with the guys that you've got. And then that makes Cutter Crawford a guy that can now slide into the bullpen, and he made 30 starts last year. So if and when someone gets hurt or whatever, you've got plenty of viable options with Sandoval waiting in the wings, and now Cutter Crawford being a guy that you took from a 30 start guy to a reliever. But he can certainly fill that role if you need him to. So I like the depth. There's not a ton of like fuck you in there, but there is a decent amount of like, hey, we could get if things go well, we've got like 4 or 5 fucking guys that can make 30 starts.
So you know what this the initial implication for me was a lot of this smells like the 2021 Giants, the potential for what happened with the Giants when they took the flyers on Goldschmidt and they took the flyers on Alex Wood, and they got outstanding performances from both of those individuals. That helped pave the way for Logan Webb to turn into the ace that he was molding into. And that allowed them to sort of lean on or create that depth. And when I say depth, I mean just viable options in the rotation where they didn't have before. And now it feels like that's something that the Red Sox are moving towards, where Sandoval more of the depth piece here, obviously, because you can only account for about half the season in the 2025 campaign. What will 26 look like? And I think Walker Buehler, to your point about having an opportunity now to just show the world he's healthy and pitch the way he's capable of, that gives you 2 options off the bat, really 1.5, because you got half the year accounted for in Sandoval. But when you start to look at the rest of the rotation, I mean, the Red Sox did a fairly decent job of eating innings. I mean, they're roughly middle of the pack as far as the rotation is concerned.
They had 3 guys make 30 starts last year.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe the starting rotation for the Red Sox accumulated exactly 1 more out than the starting rotation for the Athletics. That says more about the Athletics getting their shit together than it does about the Red Sox floundering or anything. The idea is they're plugging guys in who can help that. And if they're healthy, if they continue to trend healthily in the right direction. So, I would agree with the take from Coley, but I think, if you would have got the option for Buehler, then it's a little easier digestible.
Sure. Like if you're going to come here and,
give us an option to retain you.
Yeah, like be back to being a Walker Buehler in that 1 year. It's like, sure, like I would love to take that on the 1 year, but like let's roll it back, because we were the team that,
And the Giolito thing, that's the third wheel in this is what does that bounce back look like as well? Because when healthy, I think you've got 3 guys that you really like in terms of being viable rotation options. If you could pencil those guys in, each one of them for 25 plus starts, I think you'd be happy about that. But that's good. That's a big question mark. That is a big, big question mark right now.
Yeah.
My question is, what do we think the situation was with the Dodgers? So it's obviously not even close to a qualifying offer that they were giving Buehler, or maybe it was.
Well, I mean, the Dodgers got they got fucking 8 starters already, and plus Sasaki.
But but what I'm saying is, Joe, was the offer just so low that Buehler was like, look, I would love to stick around and I would love to, I can't do that. Yeah. I can't take 12 mil. I can't do that.
Yeah. That, and even if he did go back to the Dodgers, there wouldn't even be a guarantee that he's in the starting rotation. He probably even wouldn't be. I mean, I guess, he's going to start over Dustin May.
Well, that's where what does this all look like? Right. Because having Walker Buehler there would be a part of what I would call the friendly competition that incites itself when you have arms that have question marks around them, say 3 that we've just mentioned, and they don't have anybody sort of pushing them to get healthy or pushing them to perform. Then does that take a little longer than if you did have guys who are like, look, I finished the year last year healthy on the mound. I'm ready to go. What do you got? If that guy's gone, does that now give the other 2 a little more cushion, a little more room to like slowly bounce back as opposed to being pushed because the third guy here, he's ready to roll. So I need to get my shit together.
Yeah. I love the fact that it's, you went, I don't know. Red Sox fans are scarred by this. If you're Dallas Braden and you're an A's guy and you see the top of our rotation features 3 homegrown guys that we believe in. Traditionally, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for you. The A's have a long history of being able to develop pitchers. As a Red Sox fan, last year when we're rolling out Houck, Bayo, Cutter is like the 1, 2, 3, and they're all homegrown guys, I'm looking at it being like, I don't know if I like that. We haven't been able to develop pitching since John Lester. That was 2006. He was drafted in 2002, made his debut in 2006. Throwing Clay Buchholz debuted. That was 2007. So it's been a long time since the Red Sox have been able to be like, we drafted this guy, we developed this guy, and he's a top of the rotation guy. So it just feels different to me to go into a season being like, yeah, Houck is there. He was an all-star last year. Bayo, they believed in him enough to give him the extension. But the name, I guess, equity of Buehler, Giolito, Crochet, it just feels so much better. Like I feel safer going into the season knowing like these are guys.
To your point, I'm experiencing a little bit of that same vibe, a little similar vibe, maybe not as strongly. And that's because I truly do believe in the guys that are knocking on the door in terms of being present daily in the rotation, like a guy like JT Ginn. But when you throw a Severino in there and you throw, even with the, shortened career and the injuries that he dealt with, Jeffrey Springs, you're like, okay, all right, this is a little different because now that allows JP Sears, who's been a stalwart the last 2 years, taking the ball every time out, gives him an opportunity to maybe take a step back in terms of the load of responsibility he might feel, and allows him to just go attack, just go be the dude. You're going to take the ball 33 times.
We need to get JP Sears on the podcast, by the way. We have to have a conversation.
Done deal. He would love to.
We gotta talk something out.
We would love to. You want me to call him right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Send him a text. Be like, well, I don't know that it's like an announcement. Like we're going to go to spring training. I think we're doing Florida and Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just plant the seed.
Okay.
JP Sears, baseball is dead. Spring training. When? You tell us.
Okay.
We'll have that conversation on the air. But anyways, the Red Sox signed Walker Buehler. Jake, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's no disrespect to the 30 star boys, but having a couple guys in there like Crochet and Buehler definitely makes me feel a lot more comfortable going into the year. Not like you said, not those big fuck you signings that I think would be like, oh, the Red Sox are back, but definitely a step in the right direction. So happy about that.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, do I feel better about having Walker Buehler replace Nick Pivetta? Yep. I use the word safer. I'll use it again. Do I feel safer with Buehler, Crochet, Giolito than I did last year with a bunch of homegrown guys that, we don't do that here. We don't produce good starting pitchers here. It's not what we do. Hitters, position players, shortstops, we got them. Outfielders, yep. So yeah, I just feel better about it. Jay, hey, do you have a take to the contrary?
No, my immediate reaction, I mean, you hit the Pivetta thing. My immediate reaction to this was that, Corbin Burns pursuits aside, that seems like an ownership thing to me. The Craig Breslow front office side of this sequence where you issue Pivetta the qualifying offer, he declines, setting you up for a potential pick, and then basically paying a qualifying offer amount to bring in Walker Buehler is, to me, something this rotation benefits from. That is a great sequence that is a very good sequence for the Red Sox. I think there's no, I think it's okay to simultaneously think that it's fine that the Dodgers basically let Buehler walk, and also fine / good that the Red Sox brought him aboard. I like kind of the kind of variability that Walker Buehler provides this rotation because of all the other pitchers that you outlined that are available to them and the presence of a legitimate frontline guy in Crochet. And I think Houck, for the place that he is as well, is in that class. So yeah, I really like it. I think it'll be interesting to see what Walker Buehler has over the course of what should be a full, healthy 2025 season. But I think it's a good bit of GMing and roster kind of management from the Red Sox.
And I would say what I would say, Jay, and look, I'm not going to pretend to be able to speak to, let me rewind. I can speak to it. I'm not going to harp on the Red Sox and their willingness to spend or how much they're going to spend. But I'll say this. I understand what it's like to watch front offices operate under certain pretenses. They have protocol they have to follow. They have caps. They have ceilings that they cannot burst through. And so they have to figure out how to operate in certain lanes. And I think initially, with all of the talk and the hype about willingness to spend and change things from ownership is where that came from. Right, Jared?
Yes.
And then
I just tweeted this. I don't know if this kind of aligns with what you're saying, Dallas, but I said, I love the addition of Walker Buehler, but the Red Sox have still yet to open up the wallet in a big way. That's an ownership issue, not a Craig Breslow issue.
Yes.
To me, Breslow has proven a lot so far this winter that he's going to find a way, with or without the big spend. But
so what I was going to say, you're right. What I was going to say is, Craig, like, I know Craig, motherfucker's smart. He's not just sitting there going, all right, well, what now? What do I do? He is Mr. Contingency, if you will, in my opinion. He is laying out the moves that they could potentially make if this happens. If we can go this route, this is what we'd like to do. If we can go this route, this is what we'd like to do. And to Coley's point about how do we not take that money and put it together and go get that dude, I think there's probably still parameters that he's operating under in terms of commitments that are probably impacting that conversation. And that's why the ultimate pivot at the end here is going to be, does a Teoscar Hernandez, does an Alex Bregman, are those guys in the future?
so that's where I was going with that is, okay, I agree with Coley's point. Would you rather spend the money on Sandoval, Buehler, or take that same money to get Burns? You'd rather get Burns. Okay, that's fine. That's not what happened.
But what if a Sandoval and Buehler, though, with a Bregman, now are you okay with that?
That's where I'm going.
So that's,
yeah.
Okay,
so
well,
like,
that's where I'm going.
The point is, anyone that said, all right, that's great. Like, you can like the Walker Buehler signing, which I do, and still say, well, I mean, it's a 1 year, $21 million deal. Like, you still didn't do the big thing. Like, you still, where's full throttle? Like, you still said, like, you know, they were talking a big game during the Juan Soto sweepstakes. And since then, you've signed a rehabbing Patrick Sandoval and a bounce back candidate in Walker Buehler. That's been your pivot. We talked about the Yankees pivot. The Red Sox pivot has been much less, I think, aggressive, and I don't know if effective is the right word, but there's more of a guarantee in what you're going to get from the Yankees guys that they did. And we're going to get, they've continued. They signed Paul Goldschmidt. We're going to talk about that too. But if they sign Alex Bregman, then does that change the narrative? Absolutely. Because you're not going to get Bregman on like a 3-year high AAV deal. Like, if he's fielding offers of 7 years, then the Red Sox are going to have to get a little bit uncomfy. And they said, you know, when Breslow first got hired, he's like, yeah, like we're not going to be afraid to make the big trade or get uncomfortable. And there's no financial restrictions. I think I need to be careful with how I word this. I think that the Alex Bregman sweepstakes, it's not taking time because there's a lack of interest. He has a handful of teams that are, yes, interested in his services, that are in or around the commitment that he's looking for. But I think he's really taking his time to make a serious decision. Like, this is his, it may not be his last contract, but like, this is the last big one, you know, like, this is my career here. And no disrespect to a guy like Javi Baez or maybe a Chris Bryant, but where you take that, like, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to take the most years, the most money, and like, I'll be fine because look at the back of my baseball card. I think where you go matters. I think it does take you on a different path. The butterfly effect, ballpark matters. The atmosphere that you play in, especially guys like the aforementioned Baez and Bryant, when you come from a all we know is winning environment and then you go somewhere where you don't have that anymore, do you believe that you're going to be the same player? So those are questions that you have to ask yourself. It's not just about who offers me the most money.
I think there's a world, Jared, where individuals, and this kind of goes into how I've laid out guys who get paid and guys who don't. There could be something to the reason you want to win the World Series is to win the World Series, to be the world champion. And then after that, you know what comes with winning the World Series. Should you be in line for a payday is a nice payday. So if you can parlay the World Series into a nice payday for yourself, do you feel like you've won at the game? Like you've beat the game, haven't you? You're a world champion and you got paid. Like if you have Hall of Fame aspirations, then no, you haven't beaten the game yet. But in terms of like plugging a video game in and achieving everything you need to do, you got your money, you got your championship. What else do you want if you're that type of player? And the answer might be, I'm all good. So if I need to go play baseball in Detroit for the next decade because I won the World Series, so be it. I'll take the money. If I need to go stand in left field in Colorado for the next 7 years because I won the World Series, great. I'll take my money. And now Alex Bregman is saying, look, I've been to the mountaintop multiple times. I have a championship under my belt. I want to do that again. He has two. Yeah. I want to do that again. More and more and more. And everything about Alex Bregman that you've heard in terms of diligence, work ethic, desire to be great does not line up with things that we have seen from Chris Bryant or Javi Baez. I don't have Chris Bryant and I don't have Javi Baez keeping the fucking gym open until 2 a.m. hitting. I don't have that happening. I know that about Alex Bregman.
Right now has never been more motivated. Like he's seeing and hearing everything that people are saying about like, oh, well, like the decline in this and the age that. Like whoever ends up getting Bregman, I'm not saying he's coming here. I don't know. But whoever gets him is probably going to get the best version of Bregman that we've seen in quite some time.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, I'm going to pivot. So D, if you've got something to say on Bregman, I want you to.
I was just going to say, I think that Bregman is, he is ready and he is positioned to show that he handled the plight, and I call it a plight because it was a struggle for anybody involved in that scandal. It was a struggle to figure out how they were going to live life in the baseball world after that. How do I process this? Am I going to chirp back at the ones yelling at me? Am I just going to take it on the chin, keep my head down, keep playing baseball? You want to call me a motherfucker? I'm the motherfucker. Call me a cheater. I'm the cheater. I'll keep moving. Because I remember talking to Brady a couple years after that happened. And I was just checking in on, hey, man, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, just want to get back to playing ball, man. You know me, you know how competitive I am. I just want to get back to playing baseball. And that even in that response, it showed me like he's taking accountability. He's not pushing back. He's let you fire your arrows. You've thrown your punches, and he's just continued to try to play the game.
Right.
And now on the other side of this, like I said, I don't know, like, because Correa, and I don't know that there's been a guy who has been squarely under the microscope as much as those two have that has handled it better than Bregman.
Just to wrap up, like the Buehler side of this, at least from my end, like Jared, something you said struck me, and like the talk of the pivot, where like the Yankees pivot and the Red Sox pivot is always going to be compared, and it is being compared right now. Maybe I misunderstood what you said. I resist the idea that the Red Sox pivot has been in any way less impressive or responsive than the Yankees. I know the Yankees included the big $200 million ticket item, but like in terms of outlay and how the team was improved, like to me, Garrett Crochet is as significant of an investment in a different way in a lot of ways, and is a better pitcher in my mind, or at least a guy I would rather have fronted, like the upside of Garrett Crochet, I personally would rather have moving forward. And like, I know the Yankees includes Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt. So you've got these names. To me, Walker Buehler is exactly like, is like signing a Paul Goldschmidt. To me, like that's, what are we guaranteed with Paul Goldschmidt? And we'll get to that in a second, but like
it's the one name you haven't mentioned. I think Devin Williams is the scale tipper in terms of
and that's fine. And the Red Sox off season is not over, as you guys just got to with Bregman and all that stuff. I just think I think they are equivalent pivots for the situations that those teams found themselves in. And I know you guys have talked about this on Section 10, and I know that some portion of the fan base views it as a crutch that the team has been using. But I do think the presence of Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell on the verge of the major leagues, and by some statistical projections, possibly 3 of the 4 best offensive players that the Red Sox will field in 2025, is a legitimate reason to not overextend yourself necessarily if the fit isn't overly strong. And the Yankees don't have those types of players forcing their way to the big leagues right now necessarily. And I think that is a differentiating factor in terms of relative desperation or relative need to make that free agent sort of push.
You know what sells me on that, Jay Hay? Lock Crochet up. Now I'll hear you.
Yes.
Now
yes.
I'll hear you.
I think
now
that
I'll
is
hear you.
Yes.
Because from there, because now I can see it, because now I'm living in a world where I have a healthy Sandoval in 26, and I also have Crochet for the next 5-7 years as well. So I see your Fried signing, and I'll match you, or I'll call you with the Crochet extension and a healthy Sandoval after that. And now let's make moves.
Yep. I'm with you. That's 100% the correct take. How you offset, I guess, the quantity over quality aspect of it, because the Yankees are just, they've added more players than the Red Sox have, is the quality of taking the Garrett Crochet trade and taking it one step further by locking him up.
That has to happen.
Big. Yep.
That happens, and now we're dancing in the same fucking dance.
There you go.
And you
All
got
right, we
you got
stop
Chapman.
now.
All right. You don't want to talk about Chapman, whatever.
No, I don't. This episode of Baseball is Dead is sponsored by BetterHelp. We love the folks at BetterHelp. They've stuck by us, just like the fans of Baseball is Dead, the grave diggers, they've stuck by us as well. So now it's time for us to do you guys a little solid for sticking by us, and that's making the recommendation for BetterHelp, online therapy. You know I've been in it. It's been a long time. I find it very beneficial. I think you can too. I've met many a listener who has told me that they've tried BetterHelp. They've been in it for years now at this point. It's become a part of their routine, part of their life. And thumbs up across the board. And as far as BetterHelp goes, people think of therapy as something that is, you have to have a problem, like you have to have an issue in your life. That's not true. Sometimes it's just for venting, positive coping skills, learn how to set boundaries. That's an important one. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for people who have experienced major trauma. I know that's kind of the idea or the thought. That's not true. So if you're thinking of starting online therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and it's suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com /baseball and get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com /baseball. And thank you again to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's podcast. I feel like I do want to talk about Manaea, but I feel like since we have been comparing and contrasting the Red Sox and Yankees pivot plans, that we can talk about the Paul Goldschmidt signing. And there was someone that I wanted to talk to about that in particular. An old friend, if you will, Dallas. An old pal.
Your old pal?
I think you guys had some bonding as well.
Hello, Jared.
Eric!
Jared,
How are you, Hubs?
what's going on?
Well, see, we were talking about the Red Sox signing Walker Buehler to a 1-year deal this morning. And then the conversation sort of evolved into the Yankees pivot plan from Juan Soto and the Red Sox pivot plan from Juan Soto. Kind of became a little bit of a dick measuring contest into whose pivot has been better. And I sided with the Yankees on this one. Surprisingly, I think the difference has been Devin Williams. But what would you say if the Red Sox signed Alex Bregman? Would you say the Yankees, would you take the Yankees pivot plan or would you take the Red Sox pivot plan?
It's a good question. I don't really know what to think of Bregman. I think giving him 7 years, and we've talked about this offline, like, I think that's a mistake.
What
like,
about 6?
I
What if
don't,
it's 6?
I guess. I just look at his numbers, man. 2019 Juice Ball era. That's the year Glaber tours at 38 home runs. So LOL. That's when Bregman put up his monster season. Everything after that, it's just like solid. It's not great. It's not MVP. It's nowhere close to MVP level. Defender. But like his bat, I mean, I guess in Fenway that plays right with the wall. Like, you know, he's a pull hitter. Not as much as the Yankee Stadium. So I guess he's a better Red Sox probably than a Yankee. Like, but I still just 6 for 180. That just feels like a contract you regret in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's an ad. Like now, what do you do? You're moving him to second if you sign him.
That's what we're saying in case it doesn't happen. like I think all the smoke is, we want Bregman so he can play second base. The second that they sign Alex Bregman, he's your third baseman. You're finding a way to get rid of Yoshida, and you're putting Devers at DH because for whatever reason, like the Red Sox have dangled Tristan Casas. They can't find anyone to fucking like. There's no one that values him the way the Red Sox do. Like the Red Sox obviously, this guy could be a 40 home run guy.
He's not a 1-for-1 for. No. He's not a 1-for-1 for Castillo.
No, no.
Right. Yeah, like you know that would be in the Crochet deal if anything. Like, you know, that was when he was going to get traded in your mind. You know, like when his value was worth it. I don't know overall. So your off-season moves: Crochet, Sandoval, who's realistically a 2026 guy.
No, he'll be ready by June.
Yeah. Okay. But even then, that's a back end rotation, just more like innings eater guy.
Sure.
And then Bregman. Is there anyone else?
No.
So I don't know. At that point, honestly, if you got Bregman, it's like it's a lot.
You forgot about you forgot about Aroldis Chapman.
Oh, that's the. You know what? I forgot. Chapman puts it over the table. Of course, that's a better. Yep.
Hubs, you could call Chapman in this equation. You could call Chapman the smoking gun.
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
Could. There you go.
You could do that.
There you go.
You absolutely
if you get Bregman, I'll say it's an even off season. But I that's more just, and that's maybe just. I don't really see Bregman as that like big flashy signing. That maybe some people want to think he is. I just don't love the offensive numbers anymore. Then now change of scenery and a big wall in left field that he can pepper could definitely change things. So maybe I'm wrong there. But do you think he's going to the Red Sox?
I don't know. I think there's still a chance, and I think that there's a reason it's taking this long. But the whole thing,
I don't think we're in on him at all.
No,
we're not touching him.
I don't know that that's true. I think the Yankees will end up with one of Bregman or Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, you have the second name is what I fear. I don't know who I hate more because Arenado is a massive contract. I'm sorry, Bregman's a massive contract, better player. Arenado cheaper, but way worse of a player. I don't know what they're gonna. Yeah, like incredibly worse. And only getting worse.
2022 is his best statistic. He's 2 years removed from his best statistical season of his career. And it wasn't even at Coors Field. That was 2022.
Yeah, I know. But how bad was last year?
Last year was not good.
Last year was really bad.
Yeah.
And even the defense, I think some metrics took a dive a little bit. And granted, he's obviously still a very good third baseman. I guess if you met, it's 3 years, 50 left on that deal, something like that.
I thought it was 2. Is it 2?
Is it 2? So. Oh, okay, 2 years. Yeah, I don't know. I've had a pretty good gauge of what the Yankees are doing all offseason, but what they have left, whether it be second or third, if you're going to move Jazz to second and go get a third baseman or I have no idea what their plans are. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of offseason left. They've kind of done a ton that they needed to do. But I don't know if it's all the fans want to believe Goldschmidt's going to push for Arenado and all that. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. But
are you one of those Yankee fans that's coping by saying like you're looking at like the last 17 games of Goldschmidt's second half and you're like, oh, this is what he's going to do for 159 games next year?
Well, I'm forced to think that. But Christian Walker is the guy I wanted. I said that when it first happened. Like I wasn't scared off by the qualifying offer or the the international money that comes with it. They seemed to just not want to budge on that. They already brought in Fried, who did have the qualifying offer, so they didn't want to do two of those. Walker is just a way better defender and hitter at this point. and is much more of like I think a win now guy. But Goldschmidt is 1 year removed for winning. In 2022, or I guess it's 2 years removed. But he was a monster not so long ago. Just that first half last year was a nightmare. Now maybe he's fixed the swing and he wants to be good again. I'll see it when I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not jumping for joy and coping with Goldschmidt. I understand that that's a very weak move of their offseason for sure.
So we haven't talked, at least like on the phone or in person, since the Juan Soto to the Mets signing. And where are you at in terms of like this is the first time in your lifetime, in your Yankee fandom, where the Yankees didn't get the guy, or maybe in terms of one of their own players, because they didn't get Yamamoto last winter. I thought maybe that was kind of like the first time where like someone didn't pick the Yankees at equal money, whatever, like the Dodgers are the more attractive team.
The international part of that,
I mean, he's going to go play with Ohtani. Like, it is what it is. But in terms of like a superstar player that was a New York Yankee that entered free agency and did not stay being a Yankee, like, was that a shock to you, or did you think like where did your percentage levels go from the end of the World Series until he ended up with the Mets?
I was 50-50 the whole way, and I didn't really consider any other team outside of New York being really in the thick of it. I thought I was always going to be Mets or Yankees. And if Cohen was just going to always top the final offer, then he was going there. He was always chasing the money. I do think some of that stuff with the security guard and whatever, I think that did impact it. Some people want to brush it aside, and I initially did. I have reason to believe it did have some sort of say. And he ends up with the 765, and then it goes to 8 really. And if you factor in the suites and all that, it goes over 8. It's a significant amount of money. That was more than the Yankees' final offer. Now I don't know if the Yankees felt like, they're getting their chain yanked and, they were like, oh, we're never going to get the top offer here. So like, this is stupid. If you don't want to come for 760, then fuck off. But, I don't know. I always had a very negative feeling with it because Cohen just has that much money, and this was his statement, and this was his, first assertion is like, hey, I'm a big dog in New York. Like, this isn't going to be like how it used to be, and it's just a different world to live in. As shitty as that sounds as a Yankee fan, for sure, but like Cohen has truly unlimited money, and if he wants a guy, and the guy is going to go for the top dollar, he's going to probably get that guy. That's just how this is. So it definitely sucks. But he's fat. So like, at the end of the day, like, he put on too much weight, and it was a no.
He did get fat. He did get fat. That's true. Why did
it's alarming.
Yeah, I don't know. If I were a Yankee fan, I would feel like that it was a eye-opening experience, that things are different now. It's just a new era where I'm not going to sit here and be a hater and say that the Yankees are another team. They're not at the point where like the Yankees are just another team, but it's not what it was before, when the Yankees were head and shoulders above everyone else in terms of being able to flex their financial muscle. And I will say this, players don't give a fuck about the pinstripes anymore. Like, no one gives a shit about that. Like in the 90s, in the early 2000s, there was that like, oh, if I'm going to the Yankees, that means more to me than making an all-star team. That's gone.
Right.
Right. Aaron Judge and these guys are just, it's a different era. But I don't know. I can't say I feel bad for you. I you guys, the pivot has been just fine. Losing out on Juan Soto, I like the moves that the Yankees have made, but it's different. To that point, I do pity you that it's just, you guys aren't cool anymore.
Yeah. I listen. I like that at least they've been aggressive. In the since with the pivot, like they signed Fried. What was it? 2 days after, a day after. So like at least they truly had some sort of plan B. Now, contrary to what people think, like they list these players in their WAR. Oh, this is better than team. No, it's not. This is not a better team without one. So stop. Just absolutely like that. That is coping to the worst possible degree.
It's a win for Jay. He's been banging that drum for days now.
Yeah, for sure. Jay also was throwing out some some positive Goldschmidt stuff. So I was appreciative of some of the J.A. tweets.
Okay.
The second half numbers and his numbers versus lefties, and we don't hit lefties. So I was appreciative of that, J.A. But yeah, no, he's spot on. Like, there is no positive, like, there's no way to replace his impact on the team. And, Aaron Judge got the most pitches in the strike zone of his career last year. That's not happening again. Like, you haven't. Cody Bellinger is a fine player. Like, more, and there's a chance he's more than fine with the Yankees. And that trade was a no-brainer what they gave up. But you cannot replace the impact that Juan Soto has next to Aaron Judge.
No. Does that concern you?
The only chance they're going to do that is Kyle Tucker next year. Like, that's your only next avenue of doing that is Kyle Tucker.
Does that concern you for this season that Aaron Judge doesn't have the protection in the lineup anymore?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how can it not? But to be fair, he's hit without protection before. It's just, the thing is, like, he'll just get walked also, like a shit ton. So, it will be up to whoever they have right behind him to get it done. And obviously that is not going to be, obviously Soto was hitting before him, but it's definitely that lineup. There's going to be stretches this year where that lineup is scoring absolutely 0 runs, similar to that year with Josh Donaldson, where they just went on stretches, and then all of a sudden, like, one big homer, and you felt like, oh my God, here it comes, and not really. Like, they're still going to struggle, and clearly the move, the pivot, was run prevention, right? Like, yeah. Max Fried is your two. It's a pretty fucking good number 2 pitcher. And for $27.5 million, when Manaea just got 25, market value, that's pretty good. Obviously more years, but Max Fried is a hell of a pitcher to be your number 2. And it makes Carlos Rodon a lot less important, which is really what we needed to do. Yeah. But Devin Williams also, you allow Luke Weaver to roam, and hey, if Loaiziga wants to stay healthy for like half the year, that'd be sick too. But I mean, Weaver and Williams, it's just gonna be a different vibe than Clay Holmes, trying to close out a game. So I'm very much appreciative of the run prevention pivot that they made.
Yeah, I love the Devin Williams. Even if it's for 1 year, I still like it. All right, so last thing for me, Hubs. I gave you credit yesterday, albeit I did call you a dickhead in the tweet, but I did give you credit for being someone that's had a lot of Yankee scoops this offseason. You've been on top of it. Mm-hmm. I didn't get to ask you this either. What happened with the Garrett Cole opt-out? What happened there? That we kind of just, like, it happened. Oh, okay. It was bizarre. And so he opted out and then signed a new deal for the exact same contract because the Yankees called his bluff and didn't tack on the extra year, didn't pick up the option.
So, okay. I'm happy you asked this. This was actually the first bit of news in the offseason I got that was dead on. And no one in the world was going to give me credit for it. But basically, the opt-out was looming. And from my understanding, I know Jay Hay had a tweet, and I think I replied to him in maybe a little bit of a snarky manner that wasn't necessary because I had assumed at the time that it was a foregone conclusion the Yankees were going to add on this extra year. And I think, honestly, Scott Boras and Garrett Cole thought the same thing, but more Scott Boras than Cole. But Boras obviously is always going to chase the money. And I believe, so when they opted out, from my understanding, it shocked the Yankees. They did not see that coming. They thought, especially with his injured season where he, missed the first half of the year and, he had his, he couldn't go 100% really to the playoffs. I think the Yankees assumed he was just going to not opt out, keep the remainder, I believe 4 years left in that deal. And that is not what happened. Boras opts out, and there's a reason that took a few days to kind of unfold. And there was radio silence. I believe he opts out on a Thursday, and Friday, Saturday were just nothing. And then Sunday was supposed to be deadline day. So I'm remembering the timeline exactly, but there was a reason that nothing was going on, and the Yankees didn't just tack on the deal or whatever. And it's because, like, they were shocked, and I think they were pretty pissed off at Boras. I like to think Cole had no idea this was going on and it kind of makes it seem that way because at the end of the day, like, he didn't go test the waters in free agency. He was like, yo, I want to stay here. Like, Stanley is in Connecticut. They're all very happy that he loves the Yankees. He loves New York. I think he was like, dude, to Boras, like, I don't want to test the waters or anything. Let's just go back to this deal. Like, you were wrong. They weren't just going to tack this on. And at the end of the day, I think it was Boras looking like a complete buffoon and thinking that he had the Yankees where they wanted. And Cashman was not balking in the slightest. He's like, we're not giving you this extra year. That's just absolutely not happening. I guess they said at the very end, like, extension talks could happen or whatever. They're not, like, ruling it out. And they probably wanted to see the rest of the offseason unfold. But from my understanding, the Yankees were completely blindsided by that opt-out and ended up with Boris looking really stupid.
I can level with everything you just said outside of the idea that Garrett Cole was unaware that Scott Boras was going to pull the trigger on the opt-out. Like
maybe not unaware. Unaware probably isn't the word, but like down to like he was never thinking he was going to play for another team. Like,
yeah.
I think maybe they both assume, like, yeah, sure, they're the Yankees. They'll tack on this extra year, no problem. They'll, like, prevent us from doing this. And they were probably both surprised. But I don't think Garrett Cole was, like, banging on the table, like, let's go test the waters. Like, you know, let's try and play ball here. Like, I think the moment the Yankees denied that option, he was like, yeah, all right, fuck, let's just go back.
I know exactly. I know exactly what he said when the Yankees were like, we're not picking up the option.
I just, I mean, for Pete's sake, it's
he just was not in a place where he thought that they're like, oh, okay, fine, you want to play hardball, we'll play hardball, and he got humbled. It's been happening a lot
for sure. I think it was more Boris being humbled, and that may have turned the motions, and I think he was always going to chase the top dollar with Soto, but being blindsided there a little bit, maybe it caused him to push for the Mets a little bit more than the Yankees with the Soto sweepstakes. It's possible.
Yeah. All right, for real, last question. What does it feel like to lose a World Series? Because I don't know what that feels like.
How about losing 50K on game one with we were 1 out away?
Yeah.
Walking around the office and you're like 3 outs away from 50K, and you bring in fucking Nestor.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
That sucked. No, that absolutely sucked. And, I don't know. I didn't sleep very well for the next 2 weeks. I'll just say that.
No.
And you're replaying in your head. If you just Judge catches the ball in center, Garrett covers first. The Dodgers admitted like we didn't want that to go back to Game 6. Like that'd have rattled them. Granted, it was Carlos Rodon pitching, so I'm not sure that really would have gone too well for the Yankees. But as the series gets longer, obviously you never know. I don't subscribe to the belief that the Yankees played fine. They just offensively, they just are so stupid, and they're trying to correct how stupid they are this offseason by defense, base running, pitching. It's the right way to go because they played such bad baseball all year, and it all came to their head in that 5th inning, and it was so perfect, and it was a perfect microcosm of all their mistakes and everything they ignored for the last few years, and it all came to their head in that 5th inning. So it was brutal and it was embarrassing, and it was a giant egg on their face in the biggest stage of baseball. So in short, that absolutely fucking sucked.
I'm sorry to hear that, Hubs. I am sorry.
Yeah.
Fuck you and the Yankees for losing the World Series. I don't care about that, but losing 50K, that sucks. I
even had KFC text me and was like, dude, I feel bad, and that guy goes to sleep thinking about how he can destroy the Yankees fan base. I had KFC and Fights text me, be like, dude. Yeah. That's just not necessary. That was so brutal. One pitch away. Fuck Freddie Freeman forever.
Yeah.
The umpire's back, baby!
Yeah.
I guess they aren't. Yeah.
But roll Chapman though.
Anyways, we're out of time. We actually we got to wrap this up. But thank you for joining us, Hubs.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas, boys.
Merry Christmas. This was a nice conversation. This is the first time I think that I was almost entirely nice the whole time. Right?
Just a real baseball. Just a couple of ball knowers talking ball.
That's it. Just a little ball talk.
That's it.
A little ball talk with the boys. All right, Hubs. We'll see you.
All right. Take care.
There you go. Barstool Hubs on Twitter. He's been on top of all the Yankee scoops so far this winter. He's had 2 or 3 of them, the big ones, not even the little nibbles. He's had some of the big ones. But he mentioned Sean Manaea, and I know that's your boy, DB. Sean Manaea back to the Mets on a 3-year deal. I like this. I like this for the Mets, and I like the overarching story of this is where he kind of found his thing. This is where he became someone that was going to get 3 years, $75 million. So, hey, thanks for, being the spot where I tinkered with all this stuff and became worthy of that deal. Let's repay that and run it back with the Mets.
And I think it's in a great place, like you said. And with Steve Cohen feeling the way he does about things and having the willingness to spend money the way he will, for Manaea to have the year he did in that environment, I think it's right place, right time, perfect. Because now it gives the New York Mets a nice 1-2 punch at the top of their rotation with Senga and Manaea. And, you got some things to figure out behind them, I guess. See what Montas provides you. But I think all in all, for Manaea, it's ideal. Is it not?
Yes.
Ideal.
I love it. I love the fit.
I mean, I think when we were talking like way back at the beginning of the offseason, like potential Manaea landing spots, I think when you asked me the question, I said, how about the Mets?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in this rotation, but what they didn't have was what they really needed, which was Sean Manaea and somebody that they could reasonably point to and say, this person is going to take the ball 25 plus times next year. And we're pretty confident at the quality we're going to get from them. Everybody else in the rotation is a massive, somewhere on the spectrum of question mark, right? Between Senga, Montas, Peterson, Holmes. Like, I know the report came out that Clay Holmes wants to, and they think he can throw 160 innings in 2025. Okay. If that happens, outstanding. And that turns into an even better contract for the Mets, but they needed Manaea back, and this always seemed to be the place where he was going to get the best possible payday for himself too. So I'm with you guys. Great fit for the team. Great fit for the player.
Yeah, the Clay Holmes thing, Jay. He'll just need to make roughly 3 less starts than Manaea made last year and produce equivalently, and that'll do it. That should do it. That would be a hell of a get. That would be an impressive injection of production into this rotation if that were to be the case for Clay Holmes and the New York Mets. But yeah, 1-2 at the top.
There's a lot of examples of that happen recently with like bullpen guys coming up with you got Cutter on the Sox, right? And Ronaldo Lopez. I'm blanking on the third guy last year who was super good.
Lugo. Seth Lugo is a recent convert.
Assad for the Cubs. Like
Jordan Hicks.
Yeah, Hicks is what I was thinking of. Yeah,
Hicks is the one you were thinking about. Yeah, but see, to that point though, Hicks, I think he made 20 starts, 22 starts, something like that. Did he get to 100 innings or just over 100 innings? So that's also what can happen is you could have the game plan that Clay Holmes has. You could have the desire to go 160. Sure. But sometimes that doesn't happen because sometimes the fact that you haven't been extended for multiple years creeps up and is a factor in your ability to ramp up and sustain what you've very recently built up.
Yeah. I mean, think about all the guys we just mentioned. Ronaldo went down and wasn't able to make the playoffs. Assad was good in the first half. I don't think he did much. Cutter, did he get hurt?
Mm-mm.
On the Red Sox? Well, I remember at one point him being like one of the top guys.
Yeah, he just faded. He just wasn't as good.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I don't want to say run the risk of, but that is what you run the risk of. That is a very real potential.
Yeah. I mean, according to roster resource on Fangraphs, like the Mets are going to put Clay Holmes as a starter ahead of Paul Blackburn and Griffin Canning. Now, I don't know how reliable that is, but
no, I mean, I think it's respectfully as they should. I mean, I think
from a stuff perspective, that's who you would slot into that rotation. If you're asking out of those 3 individuals, whose stuff do we want to play for 5-6 innings? It's going to be Clay Holmes.
No question.
Why don't they just put Edwin Diaz in there then? He's got good stuff.
Oh, Joseph.
Damn. Another former friend, Dallas, Jesus Luzardo to the Phillies.
Yes, el problema to the Phillies. That's big just because now that's legitimate. That's a legitimate 3-headed monster. If Luzardo can step up, if he can pitch to his potential and what I thought I was going to see from him, and I know what the Marlins wanted to see, like if that can happen to the point of his nickname, he could be a fucking problem for people. But should that not happen, then again, probably a lot of pressure for the Phillies top of the rotation.
Phew. Yeah.
But I like, because the Phillies, Phillies were, I think, Phillies were top five.
Unfucking believable, dude. This guy.
Phillies were.
We got another guest now.
Another guess.
Two guests
Rocking
on
the
one
lid.
pod. Unbelievable.
But the Phillies were top five in innings pitched out of their starting rotation, I believe. So if they can get somebody else to continue to add to that number, now you alleviate some stress in the bullpen. A good bullpen. I mean, I like this move for the Phillies. I like this move.
I do too. To me, it's like the trade version of the Walker Buehler deal for the Red Sox. To me, like you have 4/5 of the rotation that is reasonably locked. You could consider locked in and ready to go, and varying degrees of reliable. And this to me is just an injection of upside that is potentially appealing for the Phillies, because like them signing, I'm trying to think of like who the good example is, but just like a back end innings eater to me doesn't necessarily appeal much, because I want a guy who, if he's healthy, could potentially start a postseason game for you, right? In addition to Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, and obviously we know what the versatility of Sanchez and Suarez is. So, I mean, I looked, obviously last year was a lost year, but when you look at 22 to 23, the only lefties who missed bats more often than Luzardo is Blake Snell and Carlos Rodon. And that was, a slightly different version of Rodon for people who were kind of scuffing or, laughing at that name mention. But that's the sort of stuff that Luzardo has, and I liked him as a Cubs target when he was rumored there, and I really like him on the Phillies too.
Oh yeah, impressive take. If you listen to that on the pod, you didn't see J-Hay was just getting his ass beat mid-take by a toddler, and you wouldn't even know if you were listening it on audio.
Pro.
His ass beat.
He's just getting bullied by his 2-year-old.
While you're at it, J-Hay, your reaction to the D-backs trading for Josh Naylor and separating a family. That was my takeaway. Yeah,
I saw that.
Pissed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really agitated the whole family over here, my daughter included. My Cliff Notes version of that sequence, the Naylor and Santana thing, was that I'm also capable of going online and looking up that Carlos Santana and Josh Naylor were, by wins above replacement, similarly valuable players. In fact, with defense factored in, Santana was graded out as a more valuable player. Okay, great. This was, to me, about the avoidance of paying Josh Naylor in the future. In fact, that's not just to me. That's the reported reason for it. And while you can look at that on what they did in 24 and say this was a lateral move and Cleveland got a pitcher they supposedly are somewhat interested in and a comp B pick, whatever value you're placing on that, what they did was sell out any right to any upside that they have in this sequence moving forward, because Carlos Santana, while I love him from a sentimental perspective, is all downside moving forward. The man is 38, 39 years old, and Josh Naylor is a 3,100 guy who is entering or in the prime of his career and has upside remaining. And Cleveland's offense can't afford to be punting a 27-year-old corner bat for a 38 or 39-year-old corner bat. This, in conjunction with the Jimenez trade, to me is just extremely frustrating from a Cleveland competitive standpoint, because while their front office has proven time and again that they win lots of these trades in terms of value accumulated, or, the savviness with which they select some of these other players from teams to go out and get, they are unquestionably in 2025 a worse team for these two sequence of moves. And they have also lost really a lot of the upside that would have been tacked in to the 2025 roster offensively, more Naylor than Jimenez. And to me, it's just like, it's about bottom line management, and anybody saying that, trying to sell this trade from the Santana end, to me, is just totally content with this team trotting out an 82 to 88 win team every single season and trying to win a very winnable division. And to me, I want to win a World Series. And these sorts of nickel and dimings on players that, like, Josh Naylor is not prime Manny Ramirez, right? Like, he's not walking out the door and going to get a $250 million contract at the conclusion of his career. Can you just keep Josh Naylor and have him be the better player and invest in the roster right now, which just went to the ALCS, regardless of how we think about the path that they took to get there? It's just so frustrating. And you've got these fans who feel like hostages where it's like, oh, but look at the value and like, oh, this and that. And it's like, you're overreacting. It's like, yeah, maybe I am overreacting because Josh Naylor is not a great player, but they have degraded the roster moving forward and they've sapped the team of its upside. And that's just very frustrating.
That the impressiveness to be able to deliver that take while having your hat put on and taken off and readjusted that many times is it's admirable. It's
Thank you.
Should be commended.
Thank you.
Should be absolutely
I
commended.
like it from the Diamondback side.
Sure you do.
It's a great pivot. Speaking of pivots, it's a great pivot from losing out on Christian Walker.
Yeah,
I'd rather pay nothing to go out and trade for Josh Naylor, which is basically what they did, than even pay Christian Walker $60 million over 3 years. Like that, I'm all about paying people. That sequence for the D-backs who do operate in a budget-conscious environment, I think that's a great bit of GMing or sequencing to me for the D-backs.
Yeah.
Cleveland comes out the loser there.
I think, yeah, and I think if the Diamondbacks get, well, here's a question. If the Diamondbacks get out of Naylor what they're hoping to get, is that an opportunity for them to sort of have him in-house and court him, because he's a free agent after next year? So that could very well be what the Diamondbacks were thinking about too, is, hey, you know what? Let's not spend the money per se, and let's get the player in the building. And if the reason we got him in the building continues to be the reason we'd like to keep him around, well, now we have him in-house and we can maybe get a jump start on locking him up.
Yeah. Last thing on the news and notes before we move on to the 2019 MLB Re-Draft. Dallas. He's back.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Jay Hay, you will be left standing on the porch.
Is this the third straight off season that we've done this for McCutcheon's return?
I don't want to fucking hear it. All right, it's always a good idea to bring back the captain. It is never a bad idea. You want to win the vibes race? You raise that sail, that McCutcheon sail. You raise it, and you bring the captain back. If you were looking for good vibes, sure, you lock up starting pitchers. Sure, you lock up cornerstone position players. I get it. That's not what we're doing in Pittsburgh, buddy. Nah. We're here to lock up the good vibes with the good captain. One more time around. Fourth, I don't fucking care. One more time. Oxygen tank in tow. Sign him up. Sign him up. McCutcheon is back. That's really all we got so far.
It's a big deal. Having the captain back.
Remember when we did this for when the catcher got called up to the Pirates and we did one of these? Who the fuck was that guy?
Joey Bart?
Was it Joey Bart?
No, Henry Davis. Henry Davis.
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at it like Joey Bart. Like, that wasn't the guy. Who was the other catcher I thought was supposed to be the next guy?
Who the fuck was that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do it for a lot of lame reasons, Joe. It's all right.
Wow. It's messed up.
I mean,
it's kind of fucked up.
How many years in a row can they bring back McCutcheon as like their signature offense off-season move and have it still be good vibes?
Wow.
But Jay, that is solely what this is about. Is, look, we are going. They might as well have said, we are here to announce the retirement of Andrew McCutcheon as well as the signing of Andrew McCutcheon. Just putting the entire league on notice. I'll get out in front of it right now. This will be one of the most celebrated turns around the sun, the final dance that we see in baseball, right? Miggy was celebrated. Jeter was celebrated. This will be another one of those moments where every ballpark you get to, Kutch is going to be celebrated. He's going to be acknowledged. And I mean, it is tongue in cheek, but look, in a situation where you know you're probably not going to have many impactful moves occur for your team, this is a sort of goodwill announcement that the Pirates feel like they can make consistently. And if you had 100 people who are going to receive this message via email, you feel pretty good that like 51 of them are going to be okay with it. And I think that's where they're like, okay, we'll do it. That's it. That's it.
I do love, snarkiness aside, I do love that the Pirates are not good enough where this sort of side act or like fan playing to the fan thing, I think hurts them in any way. He was serviceable enough in his role last season that I think it's justifiable for the benefit it brings. You said something that interested me though. Do we know that this is his last season? Like, has that been said, or are you just assuming that this is the last ride?
I am just assuming it. I am just throwing it out there. Yes, because this is how I look at it. If you're Andrew McCutchen right now, and look, this can go one of two ways. Are you fielding offers right now from competitive teams that have championship aspirations and see you as a part of that picture? No. However, if you are going to play baseball, might as well play it in a place you're comfortable. So that's where Pittsburgh comes in. And then from there, if you're going to play baseball, you might as well play it well enough to maybe give yourself a chance to experience what comes along with playing baseball well. And that would be an opportunity at the break to be a viable option for somebody who sees their championship pursuit as something you can assist them with.
Well,
and if that's not the case, you then play out the rest of your career in the place you've called home, and everybody wins. And that's how this is going to go, in my opinion.
I know we don't think of him as this way, those of us who saw him in his prime, but he's just a DH at this point. So like to your point about the fits being limited, like I know the DH is all over now, but you know, a DH with a mid 700s OPS, whose health really doesn't allow him to play anywhere in the field really at all. Moving, I think I saw he had 21 innings in the field last year total. No, I think it's great. And it's also like, for that matter, I feel like it's pretty unique where a guy who was an MVP and in a prolonged MVP caliber player over like a half decade or so period has this sort of coda to his career where like it's been pretty prolonged at this point, where Andrew McCutchen has been like the Vince Carter of MLB, where it's just like he was a great player and now there's been like a decade of him being like a true bit player, like a role player to the fullest degree, and that it's happening in Pittsburgh where like all the magic happened. I joked about it. How many times can they do it? For me, they could do it indefinitely, and I'm not sure it would actually get old.
No.
All right. Here we are. The 2019 MLB Re-Draft. The first time that we'll have Joseph here in person. I don't have to call him every fucking round, which is great. Very excited for that. The draft order, for those who are curious: Dallas Braden with the number 1 pick, Justin Havens with the number 2 pick, Young Joseph with the 3rd pick, and then me picking last again.
Tough.
I get fucked. Nope, no clapping. I get fucked in the draft order every goddamn time. I think I'm the only person that hasn't picked above 3rd yet. So, but I will say this.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Discord. I'm never gonna win. I'm never gonna win, but I think I had like the 2nd most votes for the last MLB Re-Draft.
Did anybody see who won the vote?
No,
yeah, the guy that goes in there and sucks off each and every member of the Discord every
no,
fucking
that
day.
is not appropriate.
Yeah.
Who needs it?
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah,
that's terrible. Discord, don't let do the right thing this draft. Discord, don't let.
You know what you're up against when the fucking J-Hay is searching Discord like this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. Remember Dallas said he was going to make that great effort to log in and be part of the community, and look at how he's disgracing you guys.
I told you I searced. You know what?
I know, and your Wi-Fi didn't work, and I know.
This is something that I asked for. And this is another layer to this to the voting here, or something that we can take away from. is value per draft slot. So it's one thing to have your team drafted. It's another to find value in later rounds.
Guys, somebody
where
come up with
other
a way for
people
Dallas to win a vote.
passed it
Just-
up.
That's what we got to figure out.
something that
We're
needs
coming
to
up
be
with a
paid.
new statistic so that Dallas
Something
can
that-
win.
If I can draft better players in later rounds than everybody else, don't you want that?
Then you would win the
Absolutely.
vote.
This
I
is-
think
this
is
is
generally
sad.
how that would work.
This is
Absolutely.
sad.
There aren't 35 rounds to these drafts. There's only
No.
4.
There's only
No.
4.
But I just go back to the first draft, like when I take a guy like Marcus Simeon from the fucking 30 whatever, like
That we're going to be hearing from the one draft where Dallas sniffed winning for the rest of this segment's history.
No. This is
This
great.
this was the fucking last draft that I wanted for having the 4th pick.
I mean, realistically, you're probably still sitting in front of the best talent that you have available.
We're all
to you.
gonna get a guy, but like the
You'll
top
get one.
3 guys are better than my guy.
I
Yeah.
would, but 4th and 5th is some really nice stuff, though. I love what's
definitely
going on.
is.
I'm going to get several
Whatever,
good
dude.
players, which is really
Yeah, so
nice.
am I.
It sets
Yeah,
me
I
up
know.
to potentially win the draft again.
I'm super
I
pumped
was
about
very
it.
happy.
Do we need to just start with Joe?
I've already I've already wrote
Or we
in
can
everyone.
start with Jared if you really want. All for
I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna literally write in everyone's picks for the first round, and you can tell me if I'm right.
so this is that's what I did, Jared. Is I wrote in. I actually drafted Jay Hayes' team,
Uh,
and I wrote
all
what
right.
the fuck? Oh, I fucking wrote it.
I
on
have
my-
already written
God
in the first round
damn it.
on how this is gonna go. Unless there's a shocker in those first 2 picks, then this is how the first round is gonna go. Dallas, congratulations for drafting Bobby Wood Jr.
Thank you,
Jay Hay, congratulations for drafting Gunnar Henderson.
thank you.
Joseph, congratulations on drafting Corbin Carroll.
It's a good start.
And I'll be taking Adley Rushman. That's the first round.
No, I didn't pick yet.
Is that where you're going, Joe?
I
Are
didn't
you taking Corbin
decide.
Carroll?
So am I on the clock? I mean,
This is as smooth as if he was on the phone.
Crazy. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Was that the pick, Dallas? Bobby Witt?
Oh yeah, that was my pick.
Okay.
well,
Jay
what's-
Hayes going Gunnar
what's
Henderson.
Jay Hayes' pick?
Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar Henderson.
Seriously, you're supposed to play the clock and do the music. Like you don't just.
We don't have a clock or music.
Oh. So it's kind of a different type of draft.
I mean, I you know what? Next week I'll have some sound effects for the MLB draft to add some flair to it.
Finally, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, it's your
Yeah.
pick, Joe.
I might show up then. Corbin Carroll.
All right, yeah, woo! All right, Corbin
Wow.
Carroll.
Corbin Carroll.
Yeah, 3rd overall to Team Joseph. I'll be selecting Adley Rushman. So that's the first round. I mean, I feel like that is the first and only time that there's just been an absolute lock for the entire round. Like no surprises. Yeah.
It would not blow me away if Corbin Carroll closed the gap again with Gunnar Henderson in 2025. I'm not totally out on that. I think Gunnar's the correct
I thought you were
pick,
going to go
but-
the other way. I thought you were going to say
dude,
if
Carroll-
Gunnar Henderson closes the gap with Bobby Witt.
Oh,
Carroll's-
no, that wouldn't totally surprise me either. I do think there's fluidity. I think it went in the right order, but I do think it's Gunnar Henderson has the skill and potential to put up MVP caliber or MVP winning season. So yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, but he's not Corbin Carroll. I mean, Corbin Carroll just had a slow first half last year. I mean, and that's what 25% of his entire career. So then you look at the stats, it looks like Gunnar Henderson is so much better. But let's call a spade a spade. Corbin Carroll's all around better player, has just as much pop as him, and he can steal and play better defense. I mean, the guy's just better than Gunnar Henderson.
Yeah. All right, Dallas, your pick.
Ooh. Probably gonna have to go Michael Harris II.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ooh, not sure.
He's not sure.
He's probably going to have to do that.
All right. Well, I'm actually, let me just scan my list really fast, make sure. Yeah, I'm extremely pleased that this guy. Who did you go? You went Michael Harris. All right, I'm
Michael Harris the second.
Oh man, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll take George Kirby then.
Fuck you.
Whoa, man. Don't even get mad, Jay. I was going to take him. So even if.
Fuck both of you. Fuck the draft order. Like, I feel like if you keep picking down below that you should be ineligible, like, we're going to have to do a draft lottery based on percentages. I can't keep picking down here. It's fucking bullshit.
I got second place. I didn't even get a first round pick, and I got snaked in the second round. So it could be done.
I got a second pick. I know I got second place for the last draft.
But you didn't. You didn't get skipped. You got a first round pick. I didn't even get a first round pick.
Yes, you did.
But I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying that's what happened. I didn't answer the phone, so I didn't get to pick in the first round. Still,
dude, there's a great pick waiting for you right here.
Yeah.
I'd for Joey. Yeah, Boo. I don't think it's Boo, but
there's a great pick.
Yeah.
One
Yes.
specifically.
There is a guy that I think is the clear right answer here, in my opinion. Yes.
Ooh.
It was somewhat difficult between him and Kirby. I really like this guy. I think he's a very good player.
Well, there's only again, according to
then I'll
statistics.
go. If I'm looking at the statistics and I'm projecting future stuff and all my calculations are correct, I'm going to have
He's
to
gonna
go with
take my
Nico
guy.
Lodolo.
Okay. All right. You didn't take my guy.
All right.
What?
Nothing. I did not have Lodolo going here in the second round. I just didn't. That's me.
All right. Well, it's locked in because don't talk about it. And then Joe's gonna pull one of his classic. I didn't officially pick him. I just said his name. No, that pick's locked in. Rounding out who's got the echo? Someone's got an echo going. I don't know.
Probably Joe.
Anyways, rounding out the second round, 8th overall pick, CJ Abrams.
There you go.
CJ Abrams, the pick.
That's not great. I mean, it's definitely a selection you could have made. I don't know if it was going to be made in the second.
Man, you
round.
really helped. If Dallas has got a great opportunity here.
Jay, do you want to make the pick for me, Jay?
No, I don't, because I'd be really mad if you don't have him again.
JJ Bleday.
Well, you mean what? You mean if you say the name and that's not who I was going to pick, but then I picked them? No,
Correct.
I was always going to pick Riley Green. Yeah, I was always going to pick Riley Green because I'm smart.
Yeah. Don't love the pick.
And there's I don't even. I mean, yeah, it's so solid by me. Yep.
No, you need pitching, Dallas. That's
No, that was something I tried to put parameters on this thing where you had to get at least a pitcher, maybe split it up 2-2, and it was Jay who resisted very early. Said, I will not pick 4 fucking pitchers or whatever he said, and I appreciate that. I appreciate it because it'd be tough. Like, okay, here's my 4 pitchers against your 4 hitters. How do we compare that? Yeah.
Well, Riley Green was going to be my pick. Now I'm torn between 2 options. Who do you think, buddy? I think
I know who you've got. I have.
All right, I'm going to take. Ooh, this is tough on future value. I'm going to get myself another potential horse. Is what I'm going to do.
Oh, well, he's. I mean, according to folks all around the land, Jay, he's broken.
Yeah.
100. Wait.
Oh.
What?
Oh no.
Oh,
Do I need to Google something about this young man's health?
No. Not broken in that regard. No, I thought you were talking about a different person.
Oh.
So
No,
yeah,
I'm going to go out and give a guy who just threw 170 innings, a 3.49 ERA baseball in his age 25 season,
wow.
and I'm going to go out and get myself some Hunter Brown.
That's a good pick.
Thank you.
Really
Like
good
the pick. Like the pick. Joe?
If it's my turn and I'm gonna go with one of my favorite players,
Mm-hmm.
Kerry Carpenter.
Kerry Carpenter.
Yeah, all you gotta do is look at his statistics, mother trucker. Career 159 OPS plus.
Are we making graphics for these drafts? I feel like I never see them.
No.
We need to be making graphics for these drafts. We need social assets for these drafts. Because I want the people that I'm picking in these drafts to know that I picked them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I'm game. Just a larger audience to vote for me as the winner.
You know that Kerry Carpenter has a bigger OPS plus, a larger, better OPS than career OPS than
Say OPS one more time.
OPS on base plus slugging percentage. He's got a better OPS than Adley Rutschman, then Gunnar Henderson, and Bobby Wood Jr.
Wow.
So, and that's my 3rd round pick. So for all the people listening,
That's a good
when
point.
you vote or whatever, just to know that.
Jared?
I feel like I gotta just fucking take this guy and hope that his career turns out different in my organization than the one that he was in. You know?
Really?
I feel like this guy, if he came up through my org, that things are just different for him. But then Shea Bangaliers is also still looming out there.
He's sitting right there.
There's
for
a
you.
couple good nicknames in the.
The Pasquatch is still out there.
JJ Bleday Day, baby.
Yep. Maga
forget about-
Volpe's out there.
What do you call Estes over there in Oakland? What does he go by?
Joey,
Joey Bestis?
you can workshop that, Joe.
He doesn't have a nickname. Yeah, that's sad.
I mean, someone was gonna take him. I don't care what you guys say.
You're gonna
Someone
do it.
was gonna take him.
You're gonna do it,
So that someone's gonna be me.
Jared. Just making a war bid right now is all you're doing. Just making a war bid.
I'm confident that our org is gonna get this guy right. So that's why I'm taking Alec Manoah.
that is just a reach. That is a scramble
No.
move by Jared right
It's
there.
not. It's not.
It
It's
is.
not.
Oh, that is
No,
total scramble.
Have you watched his workout videos this offseason? Because he looks great. He looks like
You
he's in
know what?
awesome shape.
You know what I'm looking at, Jared? I'm looking at the total war list here. And
Mhm.
I'm looking at who was on the top of that list in terms of remaining available players. So I'll take the guy right behind him, as you referred to him as, what'd you call him?
Maga Volpe?
Yeah. Why
You
is
want the
he?
Maga man?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is he a fucking okay?
Yeah.
Well, I have the ability to compartmentalize and separate the player from the human.
Okay. Sure.
So I will take Maga Volpe. If
Okay. There you go.
I'm taking Anthony Volpe.
There you go. He is eligible.
Oh
No.
no. Can
No.
I take it back? Yes.
No.
Yeah. I'm taking it back. I'm taking it back.
Hold up.
You can't
I'm
do
taking
that.
it back.
Hold
I'm
I've
taking
up.
this
already,
like that.
I've
No, he
already
can take
typed it in.
He can
I
take
can
it back until I make my
I-
selection.
Yes.
Then why was I not allowed to take mine back? I tried to take
Sure.
mine back.
You were.
Yeah, you didn't.
You have. And you.
I'm going Bryson Stott.
Oh,
Wow, Maga
That's my
Volpe back
All right.
out there.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and compartmentalize the shit out of that one and go ahead and take Maga Volpe.
Wow.
Love getting him back out into the pool.
I mean,
Look, Jay, fighting for it. No.
He's got it.
No,
Yeah, let him back
he's free.
in. Let him back
He's
in.
free. Love it. What a fucking weasel. What a weasel. Oh my.
Yeah, I'll do anything to win these drafts, dude.
He can do that. I swear to God, he can do that. Who picks next? He can do that. He can do that. Who picks next? He can do that. All right, you're up next. I will take Volpe. He's mine.
wow. Just looking past any type of character flaws. That's crazy.
Jared, so you can go ahead and I don't know, yeah.
I'm going to do like a sneaky pick, I think.
I mean, you've already lost it, so really now it's just about trying to
No,
earn
I haven't. My team's better than yours.
Wait, isn't it Joe's pick?
It's Joe's pick, but he's not
Oh.
going to take
Oh.
who I'm going to
okay.
take.
Joe, you don't have a closer, man. What's up?
Yeah, well, we got a guy who can convert into that role if need be. I got a couple. Gary Carpenter pitched in high school. So I like him out of the pen too. He's a DH, so he can also be a closer. But for Jared's final pick, he's gonna go. Holy crap. With my final pick of the 2025-2019 draft, I'm gonna go with Vinny Pascatino. Wow.
It's a pick.
Pasquatch.
Kind of disrespectful to Jared, but not bad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like I said, my last pick, Mr. Irrelevant, who I've selected 5 times in these. It's a future play. I like this guy.
You
he was
factoring in
good.
Park?
He's a pitcher.
Oh.
So I'm factoring in
Here
the
we
opportunity
go.
that he's
Here
going
we-
to have this year.
You are pathetic. This is
What?
sad. This is
What?
sad, and I feel bad for you. And we do
You don't
collectively.
even know who I'm gonna pick. He does not know who I'm picking here. This is all opportunity in front of him in 2025.
Yeah.
This is a guy
Nowhere to go but up.
that is going to be leaned on because listen, he might have to be the guy. He might have no other choice but to be the guy.
Oh man.
That's why
You just want to text this pick?
I'm taking Justin Slayton with my last pick. Justin Slayton, who I believe is going to be a massive piece of the Red Sox bullpen in 2025.
You did not win this draft.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's kind
God.
of hard when you fucking pick last every time. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that.
God.
Just gonna say that.
I mean, it's just such a squeaky wheel. It's the same. Turn
yeah.
the fucking page.
Yeah. You silver spoon motherfuckers get
Turn
the
the fucking
first, second
page.
pick every goddamn time, and then you
Bro,
want to suck your own
Get
dicks.
better.
Oh, look at how many drafts
Get
I've won.
better.
Yeah, that's because you get to pick the best players. That's
Dallas
why.
More
finishes
homework.
with Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Harris II, Riley Green, and Bryson Stott. I have Gunnar Henderson, George Kirby, Hunter Brown, and Maga Volpe. Joey has Carroll, Lodolo, Kerry Carpenter, and Vinny P. And Jared finishes with Adley Rushman, CJ Abrams. You took Manoa, was that right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Slayton. Just want to make sure
You
I had
laugh
that.
now, but I mean, like, talk to me at the end of the year. Talk to me 1 year from now and be like, I think he actually won that one.
When we do the revisit of the 2019
Yeah.
draft, it's gonna look a lot better for you. I feel. Yeah.
I know that.
Man,
That's why I did it.
man.
That's why I did it.
You gotta hate. I think it's probably tough when you look at the first two guys make their selections and have, MVP caliber talent fall into their lap. I think the same could be said for an Adley Rutschman. And you got there, Jared, but then after that, there was a lot of
No, CJ Abrams is a good player. He's a really good player.
Yeah, but it's a gamble to pick him that high.
I see what you did there.
I'm doing that's my DB. My DB's coming out.
I love it, I love it.
All right. So Dallas, Justin, Joey, Jared. All right. I'm gonna generate this draft order.
Hey, FaceTime me.
I'm
cheater.
fucking doing it. Where are you? Dallas. Here you are. Ready? Well, here's the
Ready.
draft year.
Wait. Hey.
I'm drafting the year.
Okay.
1999.
Oh, where's? Okay, I see it. Yep, got it.
1999. I gotta get ready because I feel like this is gonna be the draft order that I get the first pick. I feel good about this one.
I got a
I've
screen
suffered
freeze. Your connection. Okay, all right, it's up.
My connection, your connection. All right, here is the draft order.
Let's go.
I'm picking last again.
Let's go,
That's-
Jay. Hey.
No,
It goes
no,
Joey, Jared.
No,
yes,
no,
yes. What the fuck you mean? No, yes,
No.
yes, yes,
No.
yes,
no.
yes. You hit the buttons. Babe.
No.
Gotta loosen up your buttons, babe.
Why do you guys pick first and second every time, and why do I pick last every time?
Because God hates you, and Jay and myself are model citizens.
That's insane. I'm not participating. I want to reshuffle.
The fuck out of here with your reshuffle.
I want to reshuffle.
Ain't happening. No reshuffles allowed, pal. You fucking take it on the chin.
Jay,
Take it on.
Joey.
There's no
Jared.
reshuffling. There's no reshuffle. I'm not answering the FaceTime.
That's crazy.
I know. You got to hang with him though, man. This is hey, Jared. God gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors. All right.
Why am I last every time?
This is an opportunity for you to really roll up the sleeves. And you said you want graphics so these players know who's riding with them. This is a great way for you to cultivate relationships and let the future of our game know that you are riding with them, even in the face of winning a draft. Wins be damned. You're here to show them how much you love them.
That's not what I'm here to do. The 1999 MLB Re-Draft.
No. Yeah,
Yes.
it was 99. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Jay, you want to go ruin Mo Vaughn's life?
I do. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. No offense to the former guest of our podcast. Seemed like a very gracious man. After winning the award in 1995, Mo Vaughn said, "It's not just numbers. It's important to have character." And I think that's an interesting segue into a little context on why this award went the way that it did. Obviously, there were statistically almost innumerable better options than Mo Vaughn. It is still, to some degree, a little bit confusing why Mo Vaughn was the winner, because even if Albert Bell was considered a dickhead, and that may have cost him the vote, there were several other superior offensive players by pretty much every statistic, including ones that were considered valuable at the time, that were better than Mo Vaughn. To name a few, Frank Thomas and Edgar Martinez both had massive offensive seasons that year.
How about Chuck Knobloch?
Chucky Knobs. Chucky Knobs. Little 333, 424, 487 slash. He finished 17th in the voting. But I am going to focus most of this on Albert Bell and Mo Vaughn. Quick run through of their statistics relative to each other. Wins above replacement, 4.3 for Vaughn, 7.0 for Bell. Runs 98 to 121. I won't even specify because the higher number is always going to be Albert Bell. Home runs 39 to 50. RBI, they were dead equal at 126 to 126. Batting average 300 to 317. OBP 388 to 401. And slugging percentage, there was a 115 point gap, 575 to 690. That works out to a 138 point gap in OPS, 963 to 1.091. So what's going on here? This marked the closest AL MVP vote at the time since Roger Maris edged Mickey Mantle in 1961. So 34 years since an MVP vote in the AL had been this close. Both Vaughn and Bell, a little deep dive into the ballot, were listed first, second, or third on all 28 ballots. So there wasn't any instance of nobody listing this guy to tarnish or to tank his ability to win. But it is generally acknowledged, really both at the time. It's very rare you get contemporary acknowledgement that a guy lost because he was a dickhead and nobody liked him. But that was basically the case with Albert Bell. Time has not disputed that account at all. Albert Bell lost this MVP because Mo Vaughn was a nice man and Albert Bell was a mean man, at least as it relates to media treatment. Bell's, it wasn't because the Red Sox were better. Cleveland was 144 in the labor shortened season. They won the AL Central by 30 games in a 144 game season. Bell led the AL in homers, RBI, tied for doubles, runs, slugging percentage. And as most people know by now, but is always worth reiterating, he is the only player in Major League Baseball history to produce a 50 homer, 50 double season. And to reiterate, he did that in 143 games. So 19 games left on the table in a typical regular season in terms of his games played that he didn't get to. And it's still the only 50-50 season ever. Another little fun ballot note from this. While Frank Thomas won back-to-back AL MVPs in 93 and 94, so the 2 years prior to this, no other player who received a vote in the 1995 AL MVP vote won another MVP in their entire careers. So 21 players received votes in the AL MVP vote in 1995. Mo Vaughn in 95 is the only person who would ever win an MVP in their careers. Again, some real great names, though. Mark McGwire, Cal Ripken. Obviously, Ripken had already won an MVP. Manny Ramirez, who famously never had an MVP. Randy Johnson never got one from the pitching side. Edgar never got one. But if it wasn't clear already, I am respectfully taking the MVP in 1995 away from Mo Vaughn, and I am awarding it to Albert Bell. This is, as people say all the time for the Hall of Fame, this is not about being a nice person. This is primarily about what did you accomplish on the field. And Albert Bell never did anything so egregious that it would preclude him from proper consideration for awards at the end of the season. And as such, he was so much the better player than Mo Vaughn that I think in some ways it does Mo Vaughn a disservice to hold on to the MVP. So I'm going to pry it from him and give it to Albert Bell, who I'm sure will cherish it and really appreciate it moving forward. Any reactions?
I mean, I feel like Albert Bell would just sell it.
Isn't
he pissing in parking lots and shit these days? Like
what? Albert Bell. I mean, who among us, first of all? But
yeah,
right. Yeah.
Didn't he get arrested for that?
If that makes you a bad man.
Yeah.
I see.
It's clearly it's
March 2018. Albert Bell arrested on DUI indecent exposure charges.
Okay, well,
former MLB star Albert Bell was arrested on Sunday on charges of indecent exposure and driving under the influence in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Well, I don't condone either of those things, but
this is who you're glorifying right now. Let's see.
A lot of complicated personalities on this particular
court bat in
ballot.
1994.
Mm-hmm.
In 1997, he settled a class action suit after he was accused of chasing kids with his car and bumping one after they egged his house. That one I can level with.
That's a very famous one. Yep.
He sentenced to 90 days in jail and 5 years probation in 2006 after he admitted to stalking his former girlfriend.
Again, not something I would condone, but actually happened after the award. So, like 9 years after. So,
well,
and I'm not going to go digging through Mo Vaughn's past because that's not what this is about. It's about settling the score award wise.
So is it strictly, I feel like there's two things at play here. One, you are penalizing Edgar Martinez for his role as DH, and you are platforming Albert Bell, whether it's because you agree with personal decisions off the field or the fact that he was a defender. Is that
Yeah, I mean, I
he's
think
also the Cleveland Guardian, because as far as matching up Edgar Martinez and Albert Bell, the conversation that you were having regarding Albert Bell and Mo Vaughn, you could kind of go that same way with Edgar Martinez and Albert Bell. And here, I'll try it. I won't have to differentiate because we'll just know that Edgar Martinez's numbers are better. His average, 356 to 317. The OBP, 479 to 401. The overall OPS, 1100 is 1107 to the 1091 OPS for Albert Bell. So outside of hitting 21 more homers and a few more RBIs, it is same season. But again, defense.
You just can't go peeing on people, Dallas. I mean, you got to draw a line somewhere. And
well, he was with his name. He was drawing a line.
I mean, Edgar Martinez would have been an excellent choice for MVP this year as well. I don't know if you mentioned slugging. I mean, their OPSs are basically the exact same. Their wins above replacement are very similar, and that is to your point with the advantage, quote unquote, of Bell playing the field. I know you're a huge fan of. We called Josh Donaldson so he could make the case that team context was important, and he was more about winning than Mike Trout was that season. The Mariners went 79 and 66, so they were 21 and a half games worse than the Guardians.
Shortened season, Jay. They just ran out of time. They literally didn't have as many games left in the shortened part as they were games behind Cleveland at the time. There was 18 games fewer played in 1995 than a normal season, and they were 21 and a half games behind at the time. So tough sequence there. But yes, Albert Bell will now be the AL MVP winner, and Edgar Martinez would have been my runner-up. In the NL, it's a little bit of a more. It's not just a guy was not liked, so he wasn't voted the MVP, but it is perplexing in its own way. It was also much of a split vote. Barry Larkin, the Hoffer, friend of the pod, was the winner in 1995. He got 11 first place votes. Greg Maddux got 6. Maddux got 7. Bichette got 6, and Mike Piazza got 3. So a lot of people tasted first place votes. A lot of people tasted love overall. Bichette finished second. Some context, the Reds won the 1990 World Series and then missed the playoffs every year until making it in 1995. They won their division. So a little bit of a renaissance year for the once great Reds juggernaut. Larkin was very much the face of the Reds organization at the time. I'm not expecting people to realize this at the here in 2024, almost 5. But when Barry Larkin signed his extension in 1992, so the extension he was on at the time of this award, he was one of the 5 highest paid players in the game. He'd won the Clemente Award in 1993. And when he won in 1995, he was the first shortstop to win in the NL since Maury Wills in 1962. It had been 33 years since an NL shortstop had won the MVP. So it is a little weird statistically to look back on, though, because if you were going to award it to a position player, it seems like what's up? Oh, no, I was just saying it ain't him.
It really probably wouldn't have been him. It seems like it would have been Barry Bonds, which is maybe not a creative answer, but is the correct answer. If you were going to award it to a pitcher, it seems like Greg Maddux was crying out for consideration at the time, although didn't get true, real, I don't think got the respect that he deserved on the MVP ballot, even while winning all of these Cy Youngs. But just to run through a few of these other candidates, Bonds finished 12th in the voting and had already won. No first place votes. He went 30-30 in a shortened season and led the NL in OBP and OPS and was top in B-WAR among batters. He already had 3 MVPs at the time, one in 90, 92, and 93. Maybe the standards were just a little too high. Maybe the Giants hadn't had the initial success upon his signing that people thought they were going to have. But Bonds did not get the credit he deserved in this year. Isla, I'm almost done, okay? Can you stop singing My Fair Lady for a second and just let me finish up? Thank you so much. Dante Bichette famously 1.2 wins above replacement in a season where he had a north of 600 slugging percentage and over 40 homers. It is the 6th worst season by WAR in a 40 homer season, behind only years by Adam Dunn, Kyle Schwarber, Jeff Burrows and Chris Carter.
Jeff Burrows.
And the lowest WAR total in MLB history in a qualified season featuring a 600 or higher slugging percentage. So Dante Bichette was playing at peak. You think Coors Field's bad now? You don't remember shit relative to what it used to be at the time of Dante Bichette, who basically made a mockery of offensive statistics in this context. Greg Maddux, at the time, no pitcher had won the NL MVP since Bob Gibson in 1968. It was the fourth season of a 4-year run that featured 4 consecutive NL Cy Youngs and a combined line over 4 seasons, fellas, of a 1.98 ERA and 237 innings pitched per season. 1995 was the 7th best season by a pitcher in the wild card era per BWAR. It is the greatest season in NL history by a pitcher in a year with fewer than 30 starts. Remember, this was a truncated season. By ERA, which was 1.63 this year, it's the 4th lowest season by an NL pitcher since integration, behind only Bob Gibson, Dwight Gooden, and Maddux himself in 94. And by adjusted ERA, 2.60, it's the second best behind only Maddux himself in 1994. Therefore,
give it to the right guy.
I am going. It's tough. It's tough.
It's not tough.
I think it is a little tough.
Come on.
I'm going to give it to Greg.
That's right.
Maddux, baby.
Wow.
I'm going to give it to Greg Maddux.
That's right.
I'm going to break what was 3 decades of tradition at the time and no pitchers winning the MVP. I know he got his award with the Cy Young this year, but I just don't think, and Pedro is similar in the AL in this way, not in this season, but when he was doing his thing in 99 and 2000. But the numbers they were putting up in the offensive environment and context that they were pitching in are in some ways actually unbelievable to me. Like, I go back and look and I'm like, I don't understand how Greg Maddux had a 1.63 ERA in what was like the burgeoning heart of the steroid era or the inflated offensive environment era. It is truly one of the greatest pitching seasons that we've ever seen. I think it would even get more love if he had been able to make 4 or 5 more starts like he would have in a typical season, where the bulk numbers would have gotten even higher. We would have been talking about a 10-win season by WAR, which is, an arbitrary cutoff, but just nice visually. And while I think Barry Bonds would have been a perfectly reasonable candidate to win the MVP this year, I do think in the light of the fact that he already had 3, would go on to win 4 more, and Greg Maddux never won an MVP in his career, I think it makes sense that Greg Maddux would get some retrospective love or retroactive love when we've awarded MVPs since then to the likes of Justin Verlander and Clayton Kershaw, who I'm not saying weren't deserving in their own right, but who, with all due respect, were not approaching the season that Greg Maddux approached in 1995. So from Barry Larkin, again, Barry, we love you. The Hoffer pains me. But it's Greg Maddux's in 1995 now. So Maddux and Bell, congrats to you guys.
Yes. It was always going to be Maddux. It was always Maddux for me. I don't think Bonds was the first position player option, but overall, like, the production is just too great from Greg Maddux in that role. And I firmly believe, that being his 4th Cy Young in a row hurt him in terms of the MVP, because they're saying to themselves, he's going to get his award.
He's got enough.
He's got it 4 years in a row. This is year 4 that he's going to get this. Are we really going to give him the MVP too? We haven't given one of those out since fucking Bob, since we had to lower the fucking mound. Like, are we really going to give one of those out? Yeah, we should. You absolutely should.
And it's interesting because it seemed like he was almost wearing the voters down in the MVP voting over the years, because in the Cy Young years, he went 11th, 13th, 5th, and 3rd in the MVP vote. So like he never got there, but it felt like he was kind of like maybe inching a little bit closer. Greg Maddux doesn't need my help to be remembered as one of the 5 greatest pitchers in literally the sports history, but I feel like an MVP would be a nice capper award-wise on his career.
Listen to this run right here. All right. This is from 88 to 2001. From 88 to 2001.
14 seasons.
For Greg Maddux. It's just fucking ridiculous, dude. 33 shutouts, 100 complete games, 3,364 and a third innings, an ERA plus of 153. That's a 2.69 total ERA. The FIP, 2.93.
I just like,
and for each one of those years, all right, and I'll start in 1988. 249 innings, 238 and a third innings, 237 innings, 263 innings led the league, 268 led the league, 267 led the league, 202 led the league, 209 and 2/3 led the league, 245, 232, 251, 219, 219 and a third, 249 and a third, 233. From 88 to 2001, you got a bare bones minimum of 209 and 2/3 innings, or 202 innings from Greg Maddux. Minimum.
I mean, and while he was putting up those sub 2 ERAs, or that like the peak of the peak, he was either leading baseball or at the very worst, the NL in innings pitched in batters face too. Like this wasn't, you know, we look at what Blake Snell reels off in a given year and you're like, oh man, like another crazy low ERA season for Blake Snell. And, you know, he's 27th or 40th in innings pitched or whatever it is. And it's like, oh my God, like it's just the quantity and quality is.
Well, you say it like
insane.
this. The guy who threw the most innings and had the most opportunity to give up more runs than anybody prevented more runs than anybody. That's how you say that. And that's where you go, oh, fuck. Wow. Okay. So that guy didn't give up a lot of runs, but there wasn't really a lot of innings for him to give up those runs. This guy threw more innings than anybody, which means there was more opportunity and he prevented more runs than anybody. Like, wow.
Dallas mentioned was it 100 even complete games?
During that stretch, just during that stretch.
So during that stretch, 100 complete games. I know it's not something that you can just pull right now on Baseball Reference. I would love to know the average number of pitches per start over the life of the 100 complete games.
Ooh, you know what? I would, my guess would be like 109.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck. Now I'm going to go through fucking Greg Maddux fucking game logs for the next 2 hours. God damn it. Because I want to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your performance on the mound has been dubbed, like it's been a Maddux. Like how you performed is now differentiated. Yeah. We get to label that.
There's two things that we all know. If you throw a complete game with less than 100 pitches, that's a Maddux. If you select a player in the redraft that did not sign that year, that's a Havens.
That's a Havens.
There's two things in this sport where you just know what it is. And that's great company to be in.
That is.
You know?
Hall of Fame talent.
One of the greatest pitchers of all time, one of the greatest baseball researchers of all time.
Thank you so much.
/podcasters.
Thank you. Yeah, don't limit me. Thank you.
Yes. Don't limit me.
Put him in a fucking box like that.
Yeah. Jay, hey, would you like to know next week what you'll be, whose lives you'll be ruining?
Yeah, it's going to be a come down off of 1995, but please tell me.
Yeah. You will be researching the 1949.
Ooh.
I can't do that one. When Cy Young was 1956. Yeah, it can't be.
Or 56.
So when we do this, does it just default to the MVP, or do you want to re-roll the year because it came up Cy Young?
No, I think it has. We could just default to the MVP. Well, no, if it came up Cy Young, which one did you roll first? The year?
The year.
So I think then we just do the MVP from that year.
1949 MVP?
Yeah. Which is Jackie Robinson and Ted Williams.
Oh, there you go. Couple legends. Feel like they're going to hang on to their hardware.
Well, you know, I'm not afraid to disrespect anyone.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think they're.
Yeah.
My initial blush is that they're going to have a pretty decent time hanging on to their awards. I wouldn't be too worried.
Ralph Kiner might have something to say about that.
Oh,
Maybe
Ralphie. It's good. We're really pounding the 40s. We've done 46. We've done 48. So it's about time to do 1949.
Yeah, we're right there. Yeah. Anyways, head on over to Underdog's simple to use mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code Jared, Jared, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your free cash pick 'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That is Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. That's it for us today. Meaty pods. We've been throwing out some meaty pods in the off season. I've enjoyed them. I hope you guys have as well. Any final thoughts before the holidays, Justin Havens?
Yeah, not to be a downer, and this will be a little awkward delivering it with my daughter, but just, the ESPN and ESPN research department is a fraternity, no matter how long, or sorority, fraternity, all welcoming. But as long as I've been out of there, just wanted to shout out that we lost a member of that team, Zach Jones, yesterday, who, was a great man, a very nice man who had a 10-year-old child and a wife that he leaves behind. And just wanted to make sure that, because I know there are a lot of ESPN people and former BBTN folks who listen to this, and a lot of them know Zach, and, just really unfortunate situation. So just wanted to say rest in peace to Zach Jones.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any, I did not know the man, but if there's any way that we can help out, if there's a GoFundMe, we're happy to pump that.
Yeah, if I get a hold of that, I will relay that. I appreciate that.
No doubt. Member of the baseball family is member of the baseball family. Final thoughts, Joseph?
Yeah, I just got a pretty funny story that happened in Japan.
Okay.
This guy, Kota Tatsu, you might know him. He's a pitcher, was drafted pretty high back in the day. I think 2019 draft. People had high hopes for Tatsu, but he didn't really pan out that way so far. He hasn't really. He's still stuck in the minors. People are
Is this the guy that spends thousands of dollars to train himself?
Well, I would say most players do spend thousands of dollars, Jared. This guy spends 80% of his salary just on practice. That's his dedication. I'm spending $80K of my salary this year to practice. That's how much I want to get better.
That's dumb.
Well, Dallas, he's coming to the States. This is according to the article, I don't know how, because this seems a little vague to me and a little not true, but he's spending $50,000 to come to America to train, and it's 3 weeks. So $50K for 3 weeks, which I'm assuming is going to be like a driveline type situation. But I believe if a lot of these guys, it's not like you're paying $50,000, like you're paying for a guy who's going to be giving you game plans the whole year probably, and working with you the entire year, and not just 3 weeks. But either way, this guy's putting down $50,000 for practice, and he's only really, I think he's getting paid $80K.
What is he going to? So hold on. Is this dude getting drafted? Is he signed? Has he been posted?
He's 28, right? He's 27 or 28.
He was drafted. He was drafted, I think, in 2019. So he's on a team, but he's still in the minors in Japan.
So this is a Nippon League washout who's spending 80% of his paycheck to get better. Shit is not working out to this point.
No, this is what he's starting this year. This is the story. I don't know how much he paid him for, but he's spending 80% of his salary practicing.
So it's like a combination of. So it's like, it's not necessarily the midlife crisis, but he's got to make a decision here, and it's about baseball. So he's like, look, I'll just spend everything I got to try to get better. That doesn't seem like a smart idea for him.
Well, I mean, this is like in America, we just do steroids at this point. It's like, I'm good enough to be in the minors, but I can't quite crack the big league roster. How about some DECA? And then this gentleman is saying, well, I'm not going to do steroids, but I'll spend money on practice? How about a cycle? Try a cycle. I mean, I don't know that. Yeah.
Because here's the conversation. Like, hey, dude, if you're not good enough, you're not going to play anymore.
Mhm.
If you are good enough, you could keep playing. Practicing hasn't done it for you. So maybe try some illegal shit. And if that doesn't work out and you get caught, guess what? You're still not going to be able to play. So no harm, no foul.
Dude, well, he's never tried coming to America and getting the freaking. Come on, man. Spin rate, spin axis.
Yeah, they have internet training, Joe. You could just do a live session.
I just think it's badass to just be like, I'm going all in, dude. I'm taking every little dollar I got. I'm just going to use it on practice, motherfucker.
I respect it, but I don't. Like, if I were at that point where, how many years has he been in the minors? 6?
I'm not sure.
If you're that determined, like some guys, they just see the writing on the wall and they're like, yeah, this isn't for me. And they retire and they buy bars in New Jersey. But then some people, they're like, oh, like I have the talent. I'm right there, but like, I'm not, like, there's no amount of practice that's going to get me to where I need to be. So then just buy $10,000 worth of steroids a month.
Yeah, you were mistaken. He's only 20 years old right now.
Oh, I thought I learned from your TikTok that he was like 27.
No, he's a pitcher from Japan who
that changes the game completely.
That changes everything. Yeah.
Got drafted in the first round, but his first 2 seasons have not been great, so he's still in the minors.
Oh yeah, yes. Pay for the practice. We're not there yet.
So I stick to my advice. Definitely take steroids, but it's less pathetic because he's 20. If he was 27, 28, and he was spending 80% of his salary on practice, and it's like, all right, dude, like maybe this isn't for you. Maybe go buy a sushi bar in Hoboken. But if you are, you're
20 years old.
20. There's plenty of time.
20 years old. You still got to mature, still got to grow. Stay away from the needle. Don't listen to the guy who still plays in his fucking Legion League right now. Don't listen to that.
I'm actually the old time baseball game, the one where Papelbon drilled me last summer. Yeah. I will go as far as to guarantee that I get a hit in this next one.
What, do you know who you're fucking facing?
Mm-hmm.
What is Ellen pitching?
No, it is a former big leaguer.
Who, Lou? It's fucking Merlone. It's Merlone. Merlone's gonna pitch.
No, he plays every year. He's not the.
That's fine, but if he pitches, that's different.
No, that's not.
Now you got your boy just fucking lollipop. Who, Uke?
No. Don't stop asking questions. Shut the fuck up. Like I got a hit off a D1 lefty. Like I can hit. Like the
narrative going around that Jared
crazy. It's crazy. I get hits off real pitchers. I don't need fucking Ellen underhanding one to me.
Yeah, don't listen to these assholes, Jared.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're just jealous. Dallas's playing career ended 10 years ago. I'm still out there ripping hammers up the middle, and he hates to see it. He hates it. Like, in the worst part, Joe, is I could play in this game this upcoming summer, hit a tank, and dedicate it to Dallas, and he would still be mad that it wasn't him.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I'd be over the moon for you.
I would get the ball and be like, I'll sign it, give it to Dallas, be like, this one's for you, buddy. And he would be like, honestly, save it, beat it, geek. That's what he would say.
Yeah, he wants to be in the game. They didn't invite him.
No, we could definitely have Dallas in the. He would love it. It's all like the old time uniforms, like, but he's doing the A's games. They get the Negro League uniforms. Yeah.
When hey, you know what? We can talk about this a little further offline in depth, but we got opportunity.
All right, yeah. If you want to play in the game, I know Steve Buckley would have you. Like he would have you. Like he would wait until the next year so that you're the star guy. Like it would be your night, not. It's Brock Holt. Obviously, I'm going to get a hit off Brock Holt.
It's Brock.
Yeah, Brock Holt is the.
I knew I'd squeeze it out of you.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the idea is he's going to play all 9 positions, but he's going to start the game.
Oh, nice! Right on.
Yeah,
that will be awesome. That will be fucking incredible. I'm excited for Red Sox fans who get to go and experience that. Watch that, because Brock's an incredible dude. He's an awesome guy. He's the fucking greatest. Yeah. So we're
gonna set attendance records for that. I'm facing Brock Holt. I'm gonna fucking hit a moonbomb off this dude.
I
Moonbomb.
can't wait for him to fucking punch your ticket. If
He better
doesn't
not.
punch-
He's not going to strike me out, but like he better not hit me too, because then I'm just like, stop. Like, what is it with these former Red Sox World Series champions that they don't want to see me succeed?
I would love every minute of that. If it's just a thing now where
Oh, I
you
would just
get
catch
drilled.
it. I would catch it and hand it back to him.
That's what I do in the fantasy league, in our fantasy game where the Joes versus pros play. What they do is they start their hardest thrower, their best pitcher of the whole fantasy camp, right? And he's fucking throwing hard, and he gets up there, lets one fly, and I just catch it bare hand. And then I look at it and I throw it back and I just ask, "Are you ready now? Or was that balls in coming down?" And they're so fucking mad. They're so angry. It's like, don't be angry. You know, come on.
Yeah. So that's gonna be fun.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah. Dallas, any final thoughts today?
No, just to kind of circle back with Ricky. When you understand the kind of impact players make, and we talk about this with players who are great, and I say this about Bobby Witt Jr., how he plays the game, how he's your favorite player's favorite player. Well, like that was true about Rickey Henderson. And if you don't believe me, just listen to these words from King Griffey Jr. This is the statement from King Griffey Jr. on what Rickey Henderson meant to him. He said, "Yesterday was the hardest day for me probably in my professional career. For all the guys we've lost this year, Ricky meant more to me than anyone. I was closest to Ricky. He was just so special to me. Ricky was my favorite player as I was growing up. I looked up to him. And then I got to know him and I got to play with him. He was like an uncle to me. Ricky took the time to get to know me when I was a young player, not just as the son of a ball player, but as a person, as a peer. And he was really someone who looked out for me. He'd call, he'd check in on me, he'd talk to me about what was happening in my career and in my life. Ricky seemingly never had a bad day. You never knew if he was 4 for 4 or 0 for 4. He still had that smile, the Ricky smile. Every fan who ever showed up to watch Ricky play got the full Ricky experience. One of the greatest moments of my career was early on, maybe 1993, and we played a turn back the clock game against the A's. Ricky and I shared a glove in center field. I dropped my glove behind second base as I jogged off the field, and Ricky would pick it up. Who does that? He was such a special person, as well as a special player. The amount of respect I had for him is impossible to overstate. It just gives you a small idea of the kind of impact that he had on the game's greatest players and even a guy like me.
Feels like a good place to end it. Thanks everyone for listening, watching on YouTube. Rest in peace, Rickey Henderson. Again, we won't be back this week unless there's an emergency pod. So enjoy the holiday week, and we'll see you guys back here a week from today on Monday.
We go.